Ladies and gentlemen, ATDF everything in that shelf presentation. You're now rocking with TDF everything. Spoiled rotten.
Spoiler alert.
Yes, there were trailers. Hellboy and Men in Black Mutant Traditional. We're not going to talk about them.
Oh, yes. This is the end of the year / Christmas version for all
Exactly.
y'all out there. Because this is going to be released early on
It's going to be
Christmas
Monday.
Eve? It's going to be
Christmas Eve.
Monday.
So anyway,
But
This is
basically,
Spoiled
you just
Rotten.
started this off with a ho-ho no.
Yeah.
We're not doing the two trailers. We're
No, we're
doing the rankings, the year-end rankings
And
of
then
the movies
Aquaman.
that we have reviewed theatrically, and, of course, Aquaman.
But-
Aquaman not being on the ranking list.
yeah. But who are we? This is Spoiled Rotten. I'm Daniel,
And I'm Ben.
and I'm pointing because I'm just real jazzed up, ready to go. Let's do this.
Yeah, lists get us excited. I mean, we should do more lists.
Yeah,
next
and
year. Yeah, we're on that shelf. Boom.
yeah, boom, boom. All right, thank you very much for listening.
Yes, yes.
Please listen to us more.
So we're ranking the 13 theatrical release movies that we did this year.
It was
except
10 last
for,
year, so we're really stepping it up.
We're ramping it up, except for Aquaman, obviously.
Yeah.
And what are some of those movies?
Yes,
that
so
we're
this
ranking?
is the thing. We started off with Black Panther, which is episode 61. If you want to listen to a full deep dive, Tomb Raider, whatever was it just called Tomb Raider? I don't remember.
Tomb Raider.
Anyway,
Yeah, that's
episode 63. If you want to deep dive, Ready Player One. That's episode 64. If you want to deep dive, Avengers: Infinity War, episode 66. If you want to deep dive, Deadpool 2, episode 67. If you want to deep dive on that, Solo: A Star Wars Story is episode 68. Jurassic World 2 is episode 70. Ant-Man and the Wasp is episode 71. Mission Impossible Fallout is episode 72. Venom is episode 73. Fantastic Beasts: Crimes of Grindelwald or Grindelwald, depending on who says it, is episode 76. If you want to deep dive, Creed 2, no subtitle, thankfully, is episode 77. If
Creed
you want to
2, the
deep dive,
Creedening.
yeah, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is episode 78. You're all caught up. I said that very quickly, and I'm probably annoyed everyone, but here we are.
Yep.
Let's go.
Spitting it like fire.
Going from, I hate to say worst, but not as appreciated to most appreciated.
No,
We're
in this scenario, it's going to be the worst.
All right, what is your number 13,
Solo,
Ben?
100% Solo.
Okay.
It was the most unnecessary movie of this year.
Interesting.
And
Okay.
it didn't do anything. Didn't love it. I hated it so much.
Interesting.
Will not rewatch.
Will not.
No.
I don't think I will either. So, I mean, we at least agree upon
Well,
that.
in all honesty, there's a lot on this list that I would actually know that. There's a lot I haven't rewatched and I had to do it. Will not rewatch is not really a measure of anything.
Yeah.
But going on. 13, what's yours?
For
Dan?
my number 13 is Jurassic World 2. I have no love for this movie. I thought it was stupid. I did not like a lot of the characters, and also that clone thing was so
The clone
stupid.
thing was stupid. I forget how much you do not like to like bad movies as much as I do.
Yeah, I don't have fun watching a movie I don't like.
I love having fun.
I
watching
only
movies
have
don't
fun
like.
if I like the movie, and sometimes, as is the case in Suicide Squad, I like a bad movie. But I'm not like, oh, it was so bad I enjoyed it.
No.
I'm just like, no, there's elements of this that I enjoyed, and I don't care if you don't
Yeah.
like the movie.
I appreciate bad movies way more than you do. So this,
Yeah.
it's funny that my next movie didn't go higher on the list.
You're number 12.
Jurassic World 2. Yeah.
I was
loved how bad
scared
it
this was going to breach the top 10.
Oh,
I know
God,
it's only
no.
13 movies, but I was like, I hope it's not in the top 10.
Yeah, it would have been a bad judgment call on my end. No, this movie, I loved it because it was just so cheesy and so horribly done. And everything about it was so bad and made so nonsensical. It
Here's
was
the
nonsensical.
thing. A lot of effort was put into it, though. It
So
was
much
just
effort.
like bad decisions.
Hey, it happens.
So that's that.
It's stupid.
My number
Your
12.
number 12, yeah.
Is Tomb Raider. It's fine. I don't care. I don't have like negative things to say about it. I enjoyed the first couple of minutes when she was like a bike messenger, and I
Yeah.
was like, oh, there's just
That
not
was
going to
fun,
stick with
actually.
this. But like, I enjoyed like how fast. Obviously, we're big Alicia Vikander fans here,
we
so
are.
like, she really helps that movie chug along. I
Yes.
thought they misused Walton Goggins, but maybe you
100%.
didn't.
Well,
But yeah.
actually, I did like him in that, but
I mean, he's
Misuse.
good. It's not like
Misuse is probably an acceptable
So
term.
here's what I'm saying. I'm not going to say he's bad in it. I'm just saying he is a good actor that had nothing to work with.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, misuse is a appropriate term. Yeah. I still like what he did, but
Yeah.
didn't do as much as I
Okay.
wanted.
Your number 11.
It was Tomb Raider.
So we're just going to be playing catch up with each other.
I'm no, at this point, I'm just basically very curious where you put Solo. Like how highly ranked you made that movie. Yeah.
You will be.
I'm gonna be like
You'll be pleased.
Yeah, it's your next one. I'm pretty sure it's this one. $10 if it's next.
Sorry, your number 11 was.
My number 11 was Tomb Raider.
Tomb Raider.
For all the reasons that you said, it was a high action, fun movie. It was very, very creative to see some of those like puzzles and all that kind of stuff. I did enjoy that.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Once they started
are a
getting
lot of
into
fun.
her like working around doing the actual like platforming stuff that we know Tomb Raider to be,
Yeah.
I did enjoy that. So
Yeah.
like basically the first 10 minutes and then the last 10 minutes.
Yeah,
I was just like, yeah, I'm on board. Wait, so yeah, 11. My number 11 is you lost $10 because it is Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald.
I'm pretty sure you just changed that just now.
No, you can look at it.
Yeah.
It's right there.
I see your fast little fingers. No, Crimes of Grindelwald. Oh man, yeah.
It's
You really didn't like the that ending, eh?
No, I
whole,
like the movie.
Nonsensical. Wait, what? So that just means That means you really, really like Solo. Wow.
I don't. I mean, we'll get into it, but yeah, I don't have a problem with Crimes of Grindelwald. I'm well aware of the shortcomings of that movie.
Well, you're
I
not
don't
as
know-
much of a Potter
Yeah,
fan.
this
as
is
I
the
am.
thing. I don't really. I'm not invested. So also, I just was like swept up with the energy of my audience, but also just being like, yeah, this is cool. I think it's definitely a movie that lives on the big screen. Like I can't imagine
I don't
revisiting this later, even on my much bigger TV screen.
Yeah,
Now
I can't be like,
I can't
no.
imagine me being like, you know what, it's better. What's your number 10?
My number 10 is Ant-Man and the Wasp. You know
Interesting,
how I
yeah.
feel about Paul Rudd.
I do.
That movie,
We both
with
felt-
Evangeline Lilly, it did not make it that much better.
Mm-hmm.
It just prevented it from being much worse. To me,
Yeah.
I still had fun, but there was a lot of like, oh, we have to. This is still an Ant-Man movie, but we're trying to introduce a new. Well, not introduce that she was heavily a prominent part of one.
I just feel like no one got a deeper dive.
Yeah, no one got a deeper dive. It was
I
still
was just like,
surface
yeah,
level stuff.
I know everything from the first movie is just carried over into this one.
Yeah.
Other than Michelle Pfeiffer, who I feel like should have been in it more.
Yeah.
Because I really liked her.
I really liked her, and Randall Park being in there,
Yeah,
always a fun treat. And that he'll make another appearance
Yes, yeah.
or another mention later on in this movie.
Yeah, that is part of my review of Aquaman. Is
Oh,
Randall Park
entirely.
It's a big part of it.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I understand your placement of that.
Oh yeah, no one was
movie.
surprised about that.
Around 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For Ant-Man and the Wasp. And it's because it's just like that final scene was like, ooh, the snap happened there, and of course it
Yeah, that was
did.
nice.
Yeah,
I like that.
It was a nice little like sync up. Cool.
Number 10 for me is Ready Player One. I'm never gonna watch that again. I'm
gonna rewatch that movie
I liked
many
it in the
times.
theater, and I was like, "Oh, cool! The race is exactly what I wanted it to be."
Yeah.
And also, it wasn't. I don't think it's. I know people think it's the perfect movie for me because it's all these pop culture references, but I'm like, I don't really care about the pop
See, I
culture
like-
references they're making.
I like when people like, oh, this is perfect for you, and you're like, you don't know me at all.
no, like the person who said it, I was like, that's a fair. But at that point, the movie had only had a trailer. Like,
Well,
it's
someone
not
could
like,
see how someone, like I could see how someone would get to that conclusion.
Yeah.
But now knowing your like expectations for, like, we've been podcasting for like 79 episodes, and like over the span of 3 years now, I think it'd be short-sighted of me to not have insight into what
Exactly.
you like as movies,
Yeah.
and like if that was like your number 2 movie, I would have been like, that's a surprise. And it's
I don't
just
even remember what I gave these things. I
Yeah.
feel like I have a vague recollection, but that's why I gave you the.
Yeah.
By the way, if you don't remember what I said, which episode is which, it's going to be linked. When you're listening in the episode, it'll be linked, so don't worry. But yeah, you can go back and be like, Daniel, you ranked this one higher, but put it later. But yeah, anyway, Ready Player One is fine. I don't much care for it, but it's certainly fun to watch on the big screen.
It's
again.
a lot of fun to watch on the big screen. There's certain rewatchability aspects of it to me
Also-
because of, hey, I didn't know that little Sonic was there, or like just like picking out like little
there's a bunch of Easter egg
eggs
fun
in the
stuff.
final battle kind of thing. Like that's really all I want.
Also, I
to see.
still don't know where Letitia Wright was in that movie.
I
Shuri.
would have liked her
really-
to be a more prominent role for sure.
Yeah. She
like,
still gets listed, and people are like, "No, I saw her." I'm like, "No, you didn't.
Yes,
Liars!
yeah.
I didn't see her."
It was in the van scene when they were like in the real world, and then had to plug back in to go do the final battle and all that kind of
Didn't
stuff.
see her. I agree with that. I'm not saying you're wrong. I just didn't see her.
Oh man, you must have missed that part of
Yeah.
the thing. But yeah, she was there. It was just like, oh, yeah,
And
like,
I'm not going to rewatch it, so I'll just take everyone's word for it.
Yeah, they was like, see, anyone could be anyone. They made that kind of point. It's like, haha, you're this and happened, and oh, you assumed that there was like whatever. Like,
Are you
that
thinking
van
of
scene?
Lena Waite? Like the person who was like the big machine guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a different
That's
person.
not
I'm
who
talking
you're
about
talking
Shuri from Black Panther.
Wait. Their names are very similar.
I mean, Letitia Wright and Lena Waite, yeah, both same initials.
I'm so sorry. That was just my mix-up. Okay, yeah. I don't know who. I don't think I saw that person in real life. It must have been a CGI skin or something like that.
No, apparently she's in real life. I don't,
Didn't see.
did not see it.
I'm on your side. Didn't. I don't. If I rewatch it, I will let you know.
Yes, please do.
And then I'll send you a screen grab to be like, here's some evidence.
There she
and you
is.
can be like, I know exactly which scene you're referring to.
Maybe I won't.
Cool.
Number 9.
Number 9 for me was Fantastic Beasts.
It's weird. I got the sense I liked it way more than you, but I placed it so low.
Yeah, I still
don't-
like
no
it
regrets.
from the Potterverse world and everything like that, and I liked how dark it's getting and all those kind of things. The ending was the only thing that like really, and this is one of those things that I'm trying to be more cognizant about is how I feel about the overall movie as opposed to one specific detail of that movie.
Yes.
Because in this situation, I put it a little higher than you did because normally I would have been like, that ending was stupid. Like,
don't even remember
all
the
this
ending. What was it? Oh,
the whole, like,
she
Aurelius
switched
Dumbledore
sides?
or something like
Oh,
that.
that.
So the switch side thing was like the coolest thing in the world. I loved
Yeah, I
watching
like
that
that.
and seeing the progression.
So it's the Dumbledore thing.
It's the Dumbledore
Yeah,
thing
yeah,
that would have
yeah.
been like, "Rah, I would have been so angry about this. But then I was like, no, I'm advocating against those people that are doing that and looking at the overall movie. And the overall movie, I did enjoy a lot of. It's still disappointing to me to see Eddie Redmayne in that lead position because I don't
Yes,
think
I
he should be
agree.
there.
He should
But
not be
he
the lead
moves
of these
the
movies.
Story forward.
I mean, because that's written that way, but he should
Exactly.
not be. He should not be the lead.
He should not be the lead. But like, it's still a very enjoyable movie in the Potterverse, I find.
My number 9
Yep.
is Venom.
Ooh.
Again, it's a flawed movie. Don't get me
It's
wrong.
so flawed.
But I still enjoyed it. I had a good time. I think that they, hopefully, now that they know that people actually like the Eddie and Venom stuff, they can lean into that because
Yes.
that is definitely the strong point. I don't think anyone had a problem with that. I mean, obviously, if you do, then you just don't like the movie because it's all the only enjoyment you can get out of this is hinged on Tom Hardy, like your appreciation of Tom Hardy doing this
Yes.
stuff. Otherwise, you'd just be like, I'm so turned off by this.
Yeah.
I can't get into it. But yeah, Venom's number 9.
Yeah.
I will just keep saying no regrets about how I've placed these things.
Yeah. And that's how, like, these rankings are how we feel about this movie right
Yeah,
now. In this
as
point
I've
in
had
time.
some time to think about
Yeah.
it.
But like later on when we rewatch these movies at future podcast episodes, we might
Might
be
change.
like, hey, I rewatched Venom the other day. Did you notice how this? And then like a whole different discussion would come about. So
I've seen it twice,
Yeah.
and the
I'm
second time only made me like it more. So, but that both times were before we recorded. I haven't seen
Right.
it since we've recorded.
Right. My number 8 is Venom.
Mm.
I actually liked it a lot more than I thought it would, and I thought it deserved a higher place. Did I think it was severely flawed in a movie from a storytelling standpoint, a structural standpoint, and like a pacing standpoint? Yes, 100%. But I had fun, and that was really, really important to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. My number 8 is Solo, a Star Wars story.
Oh.
It's fine. I honestly, I know I'm saying that a lot. I just feel like we had expectations that were dashed when they got rid of Lord and Miller.
Yes.
And then
Well,
when
actually,
we got,
no. I think you had more expectations about the Lord Miller thing than I did. For me, I was just like, I don't want to see anyone else as Han Solo. Give him a little bit of respect before doing this, he just died on screen.
Yeah,
So my irrational attachment to that character.
no,
my favorite
that's
character, for sure.
my favorite Star Wars character, Han Solo. I just was like, oh man, this movie. If they're getting rid of them, it's not going to be that good.
Yeah.
But it was fine. I'm never going to rewatch it. Don't get me wrong.
I will
just
rewatch it.
I don't
Because
think
I'm forced to now. I'm
Yeah,
forced to watch
yeah.
that movie.
I don't have that
during
kind of
So
thing.
this is the audience
you
knows
have to
this.
watch it in order.
I have to watch all the movies in order.
I don't have like serious negatives from Solo. It's a perfectly serviceable movie for what it wanted to be.
That's a situation where I'm way too attached to the movie and
Yeah.
had too many expectations, even though I said I had none. But I was like,
Yeah.
no,
I
you
knew that
better
was gonna
surprise
happen.
me. The only things I did like was like, that's why the Kessel Run was said like that. Less than 12 parsecs because it's a unit of distance.
Oh yeah,
not a
I
unit
did
of
not
time.
like the Kessel Run stuff. It was boring as hell to me.
It was boring. It was absolutely boring. But I was just like, I see that's clever.
Yeah.
You made that so it was like that. Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah.
But they screwed up the whole story about Han and Chewie.
Did they?
Yeah. Han's supposed to save his life and then have a life pact, not break him out of jail.
Yeah, but we haven't seen that part yet. Maybe.
Yeah, we did though. But I mean, this is like I said, my irrational.
I think we had
attachment to
this
universe.
argument last time, and we'll just leave it where we did
I guess so.
on that episode,
Okay,
where I don't think it's come up yet.
No,
Number 7 for you.
Deadpool 2.
Oh, that's a thing.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I didn't hate Deadpool 2.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't think it lived up to the first one,
Yeah.
or it didn't build off the first one. It was just like
I disagree with that. I just think
it did build.
people weren't
so-
as surprised as they were, which I don't think was ever a fair thing.
Yes,
I
that's
don't-
what it was.
I think people need to reassess. Like, people like Deadpool because it surprised people, like Guardians of the Galaxy because it surprised them, but they can't surprise you again. All they can do is dig deeper, which I think both sequels did.
Yes, they
Yeah.
both did, and that's why. Because I come to expect that same shock factor out of it.
But
Because,
that makes
like,
no sense. It's the same characters. What are they going to do? Completely change them so you can be surprised again?
I premise this by saying this is my irrational.
Yeah.
Of this.
No, but you're not the only one. I think a lot
Yeah.
of people feel that way, and it makes no sense to me because, like,
I understand.
unless
The
you're
way
just going to be
approaching
like,
this, it's very rational, it's very mature, and it's very adult. I'm choosing to be like, no, I want highs all the time.
my number 7 is Ant-Man and the Wasp because, still got Randall Park in it. That's nice. I like that game.
Yeah, guys are amazing.
That's pretty much all it's got going for it. Now that I think about it, like,
Yeah, it doesn't have
I
Cool visuals?
appreciate.
Yep.
Yeah, there's the cool visuals. I like the
De-aging?
sight gags.
Yep. Checks all the boxes. Just
Yeah.
doesn't. It just doesn't.
I think
fully
I just
deliver.
really like the first Ant-Man, so the goodwill of the first Ant-Man leaked into this one. Where I was just
I
like,
will
it's
say,
disappointing,
Yeah.
but I'm still like, it's still the people I like from the first one. So
100%.
here we go.
I will say to a big degree. The
And his
crew-
daughter. Sorry, his daughter was
His,
good.
yeah, his daughter was.
I
good.
do like the because normally I would be like, get her out of here, but I appreciated
we don't
everything she
usually
did
care
in
for
this
that
movie.
kind of stuff. The crew that Ant-Man's crew was really good here too. Like
Yeah, they were
I liked
fine.
watching
I
like
don't-
Michael Pena, like he's the head honcho of the thing,
And then
he's
he got
like-
mad about the dishwasher. I do not.
It's really. It's so relatable. Who does do that? I'm like, that would be like. God, that got me so angry in the theater. I'm like, what that? Yeah, damn, they know how to write this shit.
Yeah, I don't think they needed more of the team. I think the team was fine.
No, I mean they
could've-
used the team perfectly.
Yeah, no, I'm
They
agreeing
did not
with you.
build off. Well, they didn't like, oh, people like him, so we're gonna give him
Amp it
10
up.
more minutes of like screen time. It was, no. And I like how he was like, no, he actually calmed down, and then like it was only at the end of the truth serum thing where
Yeah.
he like started going like,
You
Michael
put the
full
dime
on
in the
Michael Pena.
jukebox, you got to let it play.
Exactly. That's
Good
what I really
T.I.
liked
line.
about it. Yeah,
I'm
T.I.
sure. I know he
really
didn't.
enjoyed.
I know he didn't write that, but he still delivered it well.
He did. He did. Good for him.
Number 6.
Ready Player One.
Oh yeah, you really did like that movie.
I like that movie a lot. It was a lot. It built into my whole like, ooh, this is the underdog, and he's like coming from nowhere, and all this kind of stuff. Was there a
Yeah.
lot of male entitlement in that movie? Yep. There was a lot of
Well,
that.
yeah. Now that I've like read stuff, other stuff that
Yeah.
the author of the movie, of the book, not
Yeah.
the movie stuff. When I've read his stuff, I'm like, that all tracks. I get
Yeah.
it. He
Yeah.
seems like kind of a bad guy.
But I love the whole premise of like this is like it's kind of like a Willy Wonka story, and I really
And
like
they
the
really
Willy
did
Wonka
lean into
story.
the Willy Wonka stuff.
Yeah, I really like that. So it's just like
I just like Gene Wilder
liking
as
that.
Willy Wonka.
Yeah, I don't like. I want to feel bad about liking that kind of stuff because I mean, like, yes, it's problematic socially, and like, there's a lot of issues with it. But I'm like, the story itself is still a lot of fun. I'm never going to premise this as being like, this is a good example. I'm like, I will always agree with people and be like, yeah, that's an example of a movie with a lot of male entitlement, and that's the issues with there and all that kind of stuff. But was the movie fun? Did I enjoy it? Yes, I did.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine.
Not to agree with those reasons, but yeah, I feel like I have to explain
I think
that.
a lot of people love Ready Player One, so
Yes.
I don't think that's...
And plus, like, I love pop culture references.
Yeah. My number 6 is Deadpool 2, speaking of meta. Honestly, as soon as they had that sight gag where all of the X-Men were just in one room in the clothes, I'm like, this is exactly what I wanted out of this movie. He made the joke in the first movie, and this is the payoff of like, you know what? They still could be in the mansion. You're just at the front door.
Yep.
And I loved it. I hear nothing but bad things about the Once Upon a Deadpool thing, so I will not be rushing out to see that, even though it is for a nice cause.
See, it's for a great cause, but the thing is, I always, and you and I had discussions about whether or not we should do a Once Upon a Deadpool episode where we compare it to the original Deadpool 2, and I'm so glad that you were like, no, I'm not going to do that. Of course, it's going to be worse. I'm so glad because I walked through the reasoning. I'm like, yeah, why would I like something for shock value? And then they're going to like censor a lot of the shock value. Why would I like that more? It's just the like 5 or 10 extra minutes that we're judging, and that's stupid. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, there's like apparently 10 minutes of actual like movie footage that's new, and then 15 minutes of the like bumper stuff with Fred Savage.
Yeah, so I will watch that on Netflix or something like that.
I mean, it's probably
or the Disney Plus service.
it'll be
if
out.
It makes it out
it'll
on the
be
Disney
on.
service.
Well, I don't even know if we'll get the Disney service, so there's
Well,
that.
probably not yet. We'll probably get it like a year or two afterwards.
Yeah. But yeah, the Deadpool 2, the actual movie, I like. I get that people really didn't like that they fridged his girlfriend, but I feel like that doesn't really count if she's still throughout the movie. It would be one thing if they killed her and then like you just don't see her again ever, but he's constantly trying to get back to her, so she constantly is in the movie. So you're constantly interacting with her.
I just feel like
and she still has lines, and the stuff that people remember about it, like her being like, hey, don't hook up with Colossus, like that's her line from after she dies. Like she's still a part of the movie.
It's a necessary story move to make, because to me, Deadpool.
No, I don't ever think you need to kill the girlfriend. They can always just leave.
No,
but
well,
like
no, I think here's why. I feel like there's no fun in watching a hero be happy.
yeah, but you don't have to. Like Spider-Man's a great example of that. It's not like he.
But the point of his character is constant struggles.
Right,
with that
but
kind
he
of
can
stuff,
still be
right?
married to Mary Jane and have issues.
Yes, exactly.
That's what I'm saying. Like you don't have. It doesn't have to be like dead girlfriend or else I'm happy.
Correct, but Deadpool's not the same in the essence of Deadpool. He's just like, I just want what I want, like, and all I want is my girlfriend and to make some money. So it makes it ultimately a boring movie because he just keeps doing like,
No,
oh,
not
I'm
if
gonna
his
do
girlfriend's
Hitman
like,
stuff.
I want kids, and he's like, I don't want kids. Like when you're in a relationship, there's still conflict. And so if
I
the
guess I've just been
conflict
out of that realm for quite some time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah,
you
fair.
don't have to kill the
Because I never
girlfriend.
considered that. I'm like, yeah, that would be a good thing for Deadpool and her to actually explore, is like the kids thing, and then she gets kidnapped, and
Yeah,
it's writing itself in my head. I retract my statement. That's a good point.
yeah,
Cool.
So yeah, I mean, they did not handle. Apparently, they straight up addressed the fridging of the girlfriend in Once Upon a Deadpool, but I haven't seen it, so I don't really know.
Oh, really?
How they do it?
Yeah, I'll be interested in
but
checking that out on Netflix when I.
But what I think is the movie worked for me because I thought maybe it was just as good as first. I don't think it is, but I also think it was a worthy follow up to that, because the first one, yes, he wants his girlfriend. He wants to look good again for his girlfriend.
Yeah.
And in this one, he wants to be good again on the inside. This is less about the outside now, so that he can be with his girlfriend. And I thought that was a good way of keeping everything in the same realm and keeping the story going. But again, if you want a deep dive, listen to episode 67. Now, number 5. We're hitting the top 5, baby.
Boom, Creed 2. Pow,
We have the
pow.
same one.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, it was
Sweet.
the Same number 5.
Yeah, Creed 2 is definitely a good movie.
That's
It's
like
just,
our last episode, so
Yeah.
people, you could just...
Well, no,
Or no,
the
it
last
wasn't.
episode was
Second last
Spider-Verse.
episode.
Creed 2 was definitely a fantastic movie by all means and considerations. However, it just didn't have the same energy
yeah.
that Ryan Coogler brought to the first one, and that did make it suffer a little bit.
Yeah.
Were the fight scenes still fantastic? 100%. Like,
But they couldn't do as many long takes, which someone
Yes.
pointed out, and I was like, "Yep, I do."
That's very true.
But I still liked
Why
it. It was
was
more
that, by the
stylized.
way?
I think this one was less effort put into actually getting. I mean, yes, the guy who played Victor
Yeah.
Drago, the son,
Yeah.
is a boxer, so like you
Yeah.
don't have to really work on him. But I think there was less.
On Echo's part?
There was no. I mean, I can't imagine he lost it completely from movies, but
No.
I think there was less time put into like rehearsing the boxing
Oh,
and
I
putting
see.
into, or less trust that like it wouldn't hurt because as we know famously from the first Creed, he's actually getting hit and you can actually see him get knocked out.
Yes.
But I don't think they did that this time, which is smart. Like maybe don't give your star brain damage.
Yeah.
But like
Yeah, yeah.
so I think once you have to pull your punches and do more stage fighting, it's easier to film it with cuts than it is to actually film the whole thing.
Okay. Yeah. I respect
But
that.
but what I liked about it was it was a stylized.
I did not know he took the hits in actual Creed.
Yeah.
Like the first
I don't
one.
think every single fight, but there
But,
were
like,
fights
there
where
were
he was
key
taking
points
hits.
where you're like, you got it. Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
that wow, respect to him because that's like on the same level of like another movie that we will mention of another actor
yeah.
doing his own stunts.
Yeah.
Like huge respect to that.
Yeah, I
Huge
like it.
respect. Like that. Love Creed 1 way more for that then. Not to say that Creed 2 this is
That's
the
what I was trying to get
problem.
at. It looked cool.
Yeah.
So like
Because
the
you
stylized
want his like health to be good.
Yeah.
So like you don't want to do that, but like that dedication is one of those things where you celebrate too. It's
Also,
like, I
now
feel
that
weird
I've
about
actually
it.
watched Rocky,
Yeah.
they really went back to the beat him till his lungs collapse.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Oh, so that's just how Rocky beat Apollo Creed.
Yep.
He didn't beat him in the first movie. To be fair, I didn't watch any other one other than just first Rocky.
I just watched the
because
first one,
somehow that won an Oscar, like that won Best Picture.
Yes, it did.
I will never understand people who are like Black Panther does not deserve to be nominated.
Right?
In a world where Rocky won Best Picture.
That's what I'm saying. Oh my god! When I watched the first Walkie, I was like, "Wait,
The whole
This
movie
one-
was not. It didn't go well for me because I'm like, all I was doing was
It
watching
just
this, being like,
paced so
this
slow.
one Best Picture. Like, this
it was
is.
such a slow-paced movie."
I respect it for it being the parallel of like Sylvester Stallone's thing in Hollywood and everything. All of that is nice meta. I don't know if audiences were aware of that when they were watching, but like. That's all of that's nice. I was just like, man, like I will never understand people who are like, okay, Black Panther's good, but it doesn't deserve a Best Picture nomination. I'm like, yes, it does. This is way more cultural impact than something like Rocky, which won, or
100%.
like The Return of the King, which these are winners. I'm not saying Black Panther needs to win. I'm just saying if it gets nominated, I don't think that's the hill you should die on in terms of like.
it's not because here's the thing too. With Oscar movies, especially, it's well known that there's certain types of movies that get you more attention as Best Picture or get your movie best recognition from the Oscar committee, and those movies are slave or Holocaust related or like domestic abuse kind of things. Those are movies that kind of get up there. So Black Panther being none of those. And entering this discussion, even and being like, it's because it's purely based on
And
cultural
what it
impact.
did for
Yes.
like a whole group of people who were watching it, like
It's a huge social advocacy movie, and in so many different ways too. And it's just like it showed the world too that not only this is a movie that people will pay big money for.
again, it outgrossed Infinity War in the States.
Yes.
Sorry, in North America.
Domestically, yes.
Yeah, so Canada is part of that. I didn't know that. I've got confirmation. Canada is a part. When they say domestic, that is U.S. and Canada. So, yes, worldwide, Infinity War made more money. But if you're talking about just where we live,
Which makes
Black
sense
Panther,
because it addresses Black America so much more. And
yeah,
like,
I mean,
you know, all that kind of stuff,
I think people really. I mean, again, I'm well aware of the way the people who are mad about the Black Panther nomination. I'm well aware of what they look like and probably what their political views are. But like, I think on the whole, we tend to forget that you can tell a story about Black people that doesn't involve them being enslaved or subjugated.
yes, because that's not to my knowledge. Anyways.
And the fact that the movie could do that and that people responded to it and actually went out and supported it, that's a big deal.
But not only that, but like behind the scenes.
Yes.
Like the people working on it behind the scenes being people of color and like...
Or like having women being the director.
Yes.
Like, yeah, I think it was a female. No, Ruth Carter. I don't
There's
know
a lot of women behind that too. This was a movie that shows like, you know what? Like a lot of people can do this and do this well and do it like...
Yeah, like that's the... Yeah, to your point, like they... Anyway, we need to talk
it's a movie that
about
makes many
Creed.
points. But yeah, Creed,
Anyway.
just for those reasons... It just didn't pop the first one.
Yeah. Anyway, number 4. What's your number 4?
Oh, Mission Impossible Fallout.
Yeah, the same one.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I think our top 5 are going to be very, very similar. Yeah. Mission Impossible Fallout, yeah, for sure. Like I said, like I just watched a behind the scenes, like this is how Tom Cruise does his things. Like that footage of him doing the stunts and then showing the stunts like parallel. I'm like, oh crap, that's cool to watch. For the camera work on like that scene in the motorcycle chase. I'm like, that camera work
That's really cool.
It made me appreciate it so much more.
I just thoroughly enjoyed watching that movie.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
It's based on a franchise, but it's not like a comic book superhero thing. It's like something he created, because even the fans of the original Mission Impossible TV show were put off by, in the first movie, making the characters from that show the villains. So like, he's based... I know there's a team around him, but he's the only consistent thing.
Yes.
In terms of like, it's not even the same directors that come back, other than this time Christopher McQuarrie came back. But it's been a different director every time, so it's been different teams pretty much the whole time. So it's like, this is like a Tom Cruise thing, and so like, yes, his personal life aside, like he's one of the last like movie stars things that people will go to see because it's him, not because of the property, and like, I think this one he did a good job in. Yeah, this is a legit good Tom Cruise. Well, I mean, like, I like everything you just said. Yeah, I'm just gonna build up because, like, as much as you with whatever issue you have with Tom Cruise, you have to respect the fact that he puts everything into his movies. Yeah, everything. It's his work ethic you respect, because like his work ethic is insane and it's so good. I really respect it.
Personal stuff aside, we like to respect the output that he does. It's just like, good for you, man. That is amazing. Good for you. I'm glad you're getting paid what you're getting paid for the performance on this.
So we agreed. Number 4 is what is your number 3?
Black Panther.
Okay.
Black Panther.
Here's my issue. I have a tie for number 2, so I don't have a number 3. So you can just have this time to talk about Black Panther.
Well, Black Panther for me, it was so significant in the meta of where we're at right now in regards to the geopolitical climate with everything.
Yeah, there's a bunch of ins.
There's so many ways to look at this. From a storytelling standpoint, this was fantastic. It really did do. It was so multiple layers of storytelling, and just like not only and this is the thing I think this movie doesn't get enough credit for. Wakanda is a completely fictional world, and what the directors and the writers and everyone making this, they actually made you believe that these are the cultural norms of a fictional world.
Yeah. You're like, it's true. They have to do it. It's battle, like trial by combat. You have to do that. That's the Wakandan way.
I mean, like, don't get me wrong. These are not like original things, but to make a culture, like to put that many layers, to build a whole new nation, and what that nation symbolizes. If there was no like imperialism in that world, like this is how advanced everything would be. Obviously, with
they
the
got
whole
big help
luck
with the meteor.
of like and that's exactly. It's like this is as advanced as they would be with the help of this amazing unlimited resource kind of thing. And then having that struggle right now, where I think a lot of people are, or a lot of countries are entering that debate. It's like, do we enter the global world, or do we stay closed off? And if we close off, like, what does that mean? And having these debates and politically, and then building this culture, and then making such amazing, rich characters, and then having internal struggles. Like each character in this movie had such a great struggle. Like I think one of Okoye is one of my favorite characters.
Yeah, she's
in this
such
movie,
a great character
because she's like, listen, I love our king, but I have a code.
It's to the
and
throne.
I have to. It's my code is to the throne. I gotta do that, and that internal conflict you see in that
giving,
performance was amazing. I love it.
Nakia and Okoye that moment where it was like, unfortunately, it did end up being about T'Challa, but just that you got to see what their hopes and dreams are, and that they were talking about it with each other, and it wasn't like, ooh, like I like him, don't you think he's cute? Like it was just straight up like, no, like, don't you realize like we have to serve the people? And she's like, I do serve the people by serving the throne. It's like, no, I serve the people by like doing the right thing. And I just like that they were like, they want the same thing, but they have you can tell that they've got very different ways they want to approach that getting the same result, which I thought was really good. And also, as you talked about that, it reminded me, just to link this back to Creed as well, like that obviously Ryan Coogler is a person who puts time into his and like research. So like he said, like months before he started shooting, he went to a country that obviously is not Wakanda because that's not real, but he found out where his ancestors were from, and he was like, yeah, this place is closed off, and like that was his in, is like, wow, look at this country this community, not a full-on country. I don't remember the country, unfortunately. I think he's like part of the Yoruban tribe, but like he went there and he like lived. Obviously, he wasn't like living exactly like them, but like he soaked in the culture, and then that was his in for like crafting this movie, the way he wanted to make sure that Michael B. Jordan could do the boxing beforehand and everything. So I think that's what makes Ryan Coogler a great director, is that he puts this effort in beforehand. And I'm not saying other directors don't do that. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying it's not just like, oh, good, they got a black guy to do this. It was like, no, they got someone who had something to say about
it wasn't even
this subject matter.
I think the thing about Ryan Coogler is this. And this is the debate that I find between the left and the right that gets ignored in capitalism and all that kind of stuff, is that our democratic society is based on competence more than anything else. Now, in this situation, Ryan Coogler was the most competent, versus what a lot of people look at this is like, oh, this is just like you're celebrating this just because black people did it. I'm like, no, because he was the most competent person. And he just happens to be black. He was the right person to tell this story, and so many different elements.
I think it's important that he's black. I wouldn't
don't
erase
get me
that.
wrong. I'm not saying that. I don't think it's important that he's black. I would say I'm not erasing that. What I'm saying is he put in that element of research and that personal connection into this movie, which was what an element of absolutely what made this the most competent person to do this movie.
Yeah, to like build on your point, is they obviously approached Ava DuVernay first, and she was like, she couldn't figure it out because to her this was a story about Black Panther. Obviously they didn't give her a script, but she was like, her head was just, well, this is about a guy. Yes. So I don't want to be forced into doing that, which is why she's doing New Gods, because her big, like she loves Big Berta or whatever, I don't remember her name, but like, so she can get her head around that. That's why she did A Wrinkle in Time. It's about this girl trying to find her dad. So like, to your point of, yes, you should look for a black director, but it doesn't mean just the first like popular black director should do it. It's
that's what I mean.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying to build on your point. It's like
to refine or build or.
No, I mean your point still stands in terms of he's also the most competent. But to like get even deeper, it's like, I'm not saying like, oh, if Edgar Wright had a really good take and he like on paper he probably would be the more competent based on his track record. People were like, but what I'm saying is that like, he obviously won't have the insights that Ryan Coogler or Ava DuVernay had. Yes. So then it becomes most competent when Ryan Coogler actually has a story he wants to tell with this character, instead of just being like, sure, I'll do it. I'm black, and, of course. And the character's black.
He was the most. There were so many elements to that too, and you're exactly right, because I was watching this one behind the scenes or like with the director kind of thing that Marvel put out there when Coogler is breaking down the casino fight scene.
Oh yeah, I think that's like Wired or Vanity Fair stuff does
something like that. And it was just,
you can see one with James Wan and Aquaman now.
Yeah, I would like to see that. But when he breaks it down, he was even talking the amount of detail
that he had the African colors of like Black Panther's in black, Okoye's in red,
and then like having
Nakia's in green,
and then what's his face.
And they only get found out because she stopped speaking Wakandan and starts speaking South African, and the South African guard is like, "Oh, fuck you! I know what's going on."
Yeah. Like even that stuff, but also what's his name? Andy Serkis being the only white person in that scene and wearing the only person wearing blue
Imperial
as
color.
like a symbolism of imperialism or something like that. It's like, yes, that's race related and all that kind of stuff. The whole movie is race related. It's race identity politics and all that kind of stuff, but it's a good movie. It's a shame that it did not make it higher in my list, but it's like, that's a significantly good movie.
Yep.
For so many reasons. And people that like, no, I'm like,
Yeah, there's this one guy, John Campia, who's like, it doesn't deserve it. And usually I understand where he's coming from, but
Right.
like on this one, I'm like, dude, you gotta give it up.
You
I
gotta
don't
chill.
understand why
Yeah.
this is the hill you want to die on. Like,
yeah.
like no, they're just doing it because I'm like, no, like it's a very important movie,
Yeah.
and it's an enjoyable movie.
Because there are
and I think
movies
he
that-
erases the fact that something like where my dad is like, is it just me or is this a much better done superhero film? Or like the fact that like
Yes.
my grandmother who refuses to like drive at night is like, no, I'm gonna go see this movie. Like it's speaking to people who aren't in our bubble of like, I just go to see the superhero movies.
Yeah.
Like it's something bigger.
Hugely
And like
culturally significant.
they knew what they were doing in the terms of that. It helped Infinity War's box office that they could
Yep.
market it as like, you know what? You liked Black Panther? Well, we're going right back there. The final battle's in Wakanda.
Yep.
And it's like, yeah, I listen to a lot of podcasts where people say things like Marvel instead of Marvel or don't know that Batman isn't part of this. And they were like, obviously they didn't really like Infinity War, but
Right.
they were like, yeah, I have to watch Infinity War now because Black Panther was such an important thing to me and I really liked it. Anyway, let's talk about my tie for number 2, which
Yeah.
is Infinity War and Black Panther, because
Okay.
I don't know which one I like better.
Oh, wow.
So I just said that I like them both. In terms of comic book movie, obviously I like Infinity War better.
Yeah.
In terms of just enjoyable movie, I cannot tell you which one I like better. I think Black Panther has all the important stuff in there, but like I can't help but enjoy looking at all those characters interact. Like that really takes it over the top for me, is that like there was all those characters in Infinity War and they didn't fuck it up. Like,
Yep.
it really worked for me, even though they kept certain people apart. And I was like, I just want them to all be together. I was like, there was a point when there was the Battle of Wakanda. I'm like, I mean, you know, Tony could still come back. Like he still might
There's
make
still
it.
that
man.
hopeful
Like,
moment where you're like, they could come back. They could come back.
He
and
could
then,
still
like,
join them.
but then also it's like, but they could all have that one like shot that you're
Yeah.
expecting.
the
that like
circle
they're
shot
all-
from the first Avengers.
Yeah, you know, like that circle shot, or like in the second Avengers where they're in
when
that
all-
tower
yeah.
and they're like fighting and all that. Like that was amazing. Like you're expecting that, and then
Didn't
you're
get-
just like, but, and then snap, and you're like,
It's not going to happen.
it's not going to happen this time. No, and then like that just, oh man, yeah, I get it. Yeah, that's actually surprising. I thought I didn't think that you would have Infinity War and Black Panther on the same ranking level.
I think they both had a lot of high expectations for me, and they both
exceeded them.
them.
Yeah.
I think obviously Infinity War is not a complete movie.
Yes.
I know that everyone's like, no, he did, he won, and I'm like, there's no way. And I don't believe anyone who like didn't watch the other movies and watch them. I was like, yeah, it was good. I understood everything. There's no way you could get the full grasp of what's going on.
I think when they say that, I could say like, yes, you got everything from.
No, you can
the surface
understand
level,
how a
but
story
then-
level.
yeah.
You can understand how the story works, but like, I think
that's what
there's
they're
people that are like, I don't get, like, I don't believe that he really loved Gamora or whatever. I'm like, so that's because you haven't like invested in the other movies. Like, this can't just exist in a vacuum of like, well, last time I saw Star-Lord and Gamora, they just dance or whatever. I'm like, but you like, if you watch these movies, you understand that like this is 4 years later,
this is
and
four- yeah.
also, yeah, I can see how they would get to the point of loving each other if they were like on that ship the whole time, and like knowing those characters and knowing like even small things like Peter and Tony's relationship.
Yeah.
You would need to know that kind of stuff, or I mean,
Or
this
the
movie
Captain
is
Ameri- yeah.
heavy on Thor. Yeah,
And the Captain America
You
Tony
can
relationship.
afford to not have that much Captain America if you've seen the other movies and realize how he plays, how his influence is over this movie.
But even then, the Russos, and I agree with them, is like the moment, like you notice significantly in this movie that Captain America doesn't do a lot of talking. There's not a lot of dialogue. There's not a lot of him. And the reasons why is like the moment then the Russos got this so right. The moment you have him on screen, it's all about him, because that's you're immediately drawn to him, and that's not even like
And
being
I don't even really like him in the
pro-American-
comics, but I'm really into Chris Evans' Captain America.
Yeah, it's not even like a pro.
No, it's his character.
America patriotic thing. It's the fact that he's the team leader. He's the captain pulling it all together.
And that's what he
That's
addressed
what-
in the first
Yeah.
Captain America movie. He's like, no, I don't care where someone's from. I just don't like bullies. It does not matter where
Yeah.
they come from.
It's awesome.
And that's why what they did in Winter Soldier made sense. He's like, oh, America's the bully.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not like on board with the shield stuff or all that stuff.
Yeah, because I'm like everything that he does. It's just like it's not that he's pro-America. It's just that he's
He wants to do the right
an
thing.
incredibly moral character
Yeah.
that wants to do the right thing and is dealing with all this conflict that actually has weaknesses.
What is your number 2?
Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
I love that movie. It was so much more fun and so much more complex. And there were like we talked about last podcast, like just last week, like there was parts in that movie where I'm like, this is hugely emotional right now.
Mm-hmm.
That relationship with the dad and like the uncle and all that kind of stuff. I was like, what is going on? This is crazy. I did not expect that from a kids movie.
It's not a kids movie though.
Well, I mean,
It's an animated movie. It's not
it's
a
an
kids
animated
movie.
movie, but it's not a kid. You're right. I just typically equate that kind of
Like
CGI.
Ralph Breaks the Internet as kids movie.
Yeah.
This was not trying to be a kids movie.
True. I mistermed it. But yeah, it was so much more complex than I thought I was walking into. That really surprised me. And it was just a very fun movie. And I liked seeing a jaded Spider-Man. That was a lot of fun.
Peter B. Parker.
Yeah, Peter B. Parker was just like, I'm Peter B. Parker. I'm like, what?
Nice.
Nice.
Uh,
Everything about that movie is great. And like my thing too, like the motivation of Kingpin, it's always nice to see villains do something that is humanly understandable as opposed to humanly ununderstandable, in the sense where like other iterations where it's just like, oh well, I'm driven by hate and like I want to kill everything, versus like he just wants his family back. He made a mistake, he wants his family back. It's a very understandable position, and it sucks that he's willing to sacrifice the rest of the universe for that.
Yeah.
But it's a
I
very
was listening
understandable
back to our
position.
episode. You're like, I can't really see him as a bad guy. I'm like, yeah, I mean, he is
He's
a bad guy.
he does-
the reason he
yeah.
lost his family, the reason he's looking for them, all make him a bad guy.
Yeah, but I'm not saying good. I'm just saying human.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
why I like what you're saying now.
Yeah.
On the last episode, I was like,
Oh, definitely. I'm like a wine. I get better with time.
Exactly. There we go. There we go.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was your number 2, and obviously my tied number 2 is Black Panther and Infinity Wars, which means my number 1 is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Spider-Man.
Because, yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed the. I feel like it was the best of Black Panther and Infinity War for me. Like everything I like from both those movies, but in one movie. So like it feels like a complete story. I don't. You obviously there is nothing else to reference in terms of the cinematic universe. Obviously, you could read the comics, but you could do that with Black Panther and Infinity War as well.
Yes.
But there is nothing else to reference. They pulled off this whole thing of like, oh, look at all these characters working together, as well as touching on certain things that I think are important, like for a Black community. In addition to the Latino, I mean, I don't really know the ins and outs of that,
Yeah.
but like
But, like,
for me,
just-
when like Peter B. Parker, someone referenced this, and I've seen the movie twice now. I heard this comment after. I would be interested to go back again, and I felt like I understood it. There's a moment where Peter B. Parker is like, "Right, yeah, you're a Black kid." So this, because I think it was something to do with his spider sense,
Right.
and he was like, "Yeah, you're probably gonna. Yours is gonna probably go off more than mine in terms of just like." How other people might see you as a threat, which will think your thing. So like that little subtle thing, putting that in it. Again, it's not a line of dialogue. I just feel like that might be a thing of just his understanding of like, oh right, yeah, okay.
You mean like Peter B. Parker, like understanding race
Like, oh yeah,
complications
your
and all that?
spider sense will go off more.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I think Peter B. Parker was like, even when he was like, what does that say about my worldviews and I gotta re-examine my
the
gender
Doc Ock,
expectations
yeah.
and roles and everything like that. I mean, like that was a great like I think he's a very socially aware character.
Yeah.
And then the funny thing is like this is a movie that was very PC without being overtly PC, where it's like we're doing this. It's like so small subtle things like that in the story writing.
And just
Is
the
really,
idea
really
that
great.
there was
fun.
even that element of two brothers that break up because one starts working for the cops, and like that is also something that would probably be rough, especially since they were probably doing illegal things together before, and then that splits them up, or just the relationship between a dad and a son. All of that I appreciated. Specifically, as I said, him hearing that his dad believed in him is right before the moment where he can do the big, like, which in the comics he can do. He does these big electro bursts that gets him out of things. It looks like he's exploding, but he just gets out of tight situations. Nice. But like, it's like really, like, that really spoke to me as well, and I really liked all of that. So like, again, that's just for now. I would say that was my favorite of the ones we ranked, and this is more on like a comic book level. That's kind of our skew here.
Yeah.
Because again, if we were going on like important movies, I guess Black Panther would be higher, but
that's a totally different ranking system.
Yeah, but I think if we're talking about comic books,
more significantly, and I think that's something maybe we can explore in 2019.
Yeah, but this one for me, in terms of the comic book thing, I thought that Infinity War and Black Panther were great. But that Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, at this point in my life, feels like the best of both of those things put together.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming you're going to talk about Infinity War now.
Infinity War is now number one. Absolutely. To me, it was the pinnacle comic book movie. Very much like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. It's what a comic book movie should be. It's like all these characters interacting. Marvel has done this is the perfect movie of the amount of work that Marvel has done. From a studio standpoint, but not only from a studio standpoint, but from a storytelling standpoint, in the sense where we now have so many characters that we know and love, and we don't need the backstory to. We're at that point where we can be like, this is Doctor Strange. We don't need to hear about his backstory. He's like established in his own world, but here is like more fights that he needs to be involved in, and things that are going to continue to grow his character. Same thing with this, and then having them all interact and all be like, wait, I'm this person, and I usually do this. Now I have to learn how to play nice with others and all that kind of stuff. It's really, really cool and fun to me. And it's just constant, like, more of like a lot of these things. And of course, Thanos.
Yeah,
as
great
a character.
villain.
Great villain.
Listen to our best villains episode, which is... You can keep talking while I figure out what episode that is.
But Thanos is just a fantastic villain in the sense where he's like the classic example of like, no, I'm doing a good thing for the world. I'm doing a good thing for this. But it's like, yeah, but if you were actually a good person, you could have just made the resources infinite as opposed to actually killing off half the planet.
The episode is episode 69 if you want to hear our thoughts on the
Giggity.
MCU villains.
Giggity.
Exactly. So yeah, let's talk about Aquaman. Here we are. It is fine.
Yeah.
It's not great, which sucks because I'm really on board with James Wan, but
I like James Wan.
I'm well aware the effort that is put in, and I'm not saying this to be like, oh, it looks like he's trying too hard.
No,
because I never really understand. I mean,
everything was explained.
If something looks like
really
it's for show, that's different than but like this, none of this looks like it's for show. All of this looks like someone really cares and is putting their best foot forward. Unfortunately, or maybe it's not their best foot forward, but they're trying. They're not. It's like a Tom Cruise effort is put into this movie. Yes. I don't think anything is like they just skipped over that. Like I really do feel like a lot of
things I think they did.
I mean, sure, stuff must have been cut up, but I think that's part of the problem is that this movie is like over 2 hours. And trust me, as someone who wished Infinity War was longer, I'm not here to be like, these movies should be short. I'm just saying, if you don't have the story, maybe don't make it. Don't stretch it so thin.
I agree.
I think they tried to shove so much thing.
That's been consistent in your review of the Marvel series. It's like, you don't have a full season here. Just cut off some of the episodes.
So I think, the big thing here is Arthur Curry needs to find a trident. So, like, we don't need 2.5 hours of that.
We don't.
And to be fair, I really liked his parents, and that's pretty much the only thing I cared about in the movie was, like, I really hope his dad gets to see his mom again. And, like, he did a good job of making me care about his parents in that first 10 minutes. And James Wan even said, I based this off of Up, of, like, they had that prelude at the beginning, and I'm like, yeah, I get it. I see it. And anytime he cited his reference, I was like, 100%. I see that on the screen, and I appreciated how you made it your own thing.
Yep.
It didn't feel like you were just copying. It just felt like, you know what, that's a good idea, and this is my take on that, which was nice to see. I just don't think it came. I think I knew I was in trouble when the title Aquaman showed up, and I'm like, I feel like if this was Batman, I would be like, yeah, and I was just like, yeah, it's just Aquaman. I don't care about Aquaman, and
No, but
and I don't feel like they, even when they were, they cast him, and you're like, okay, they cast him to be Jason Momoa, the character. That's the other thing. I'm like, maybe if this movie was just called Atlantis or Jason Momoa Visits Atlantis, it would have been like interesting to me. But like, I never really got it. And this goes across the board.
Yeah.
Other than Mira, or Mira, depending on who says her name. Mara, though, I'm pretty sure it's Mara. Nobody, sorry, and his parents. No one really had an arc. Everyone was just like, it's just like, yeah, I'm Aquaman. I'm like, yeah, we know. I saw you 3 movies ago. Yeah. And even Volko, the person they hid from all the like promotions up until late, I was just like, he doesn't really have an arc. He's just like, no, I just like Arthur. Even when he has that moment where you feel like there could be conflict because Orm calls him out, and he's like, no, and he's like, yeah, because I like him better. You shit. And I'm like, okay, well, that's that done then. We're not going to go any deeper into that.
I did like that.
I don't like that it doesn't give him
exchange.
anything to do. It's nothing for these actors who are very good actors to do because there's nothing for them to play. Yeah. All they have to do is say their lines as like,
yes,
I don't like you, and I don't like the surface. And it's like, okay,
it's a purely, and that's why I'm on the same page with you. And that's you actually refined my argument with this, because I was like, there's something about this that I don't like. The length for a purely dialogue-driven movie.
Don't get me wrong. There is a lot of action. It's
lot.
not really dialogue driven. It's just they're doing that telling instead of showing stuff that I didn't like about Kingpin. Is that they tell you Orm is a dick, and I'm like, is he? Because everyone seems to like him. Yeah, and it just seems like, yeah, I can tell he's angry. But
I mean, I like you can see he's a dick whenever he does that like backdoor scheming stuff with Black Manta, right? It's just like,
which again was like,
you're a dick. You just agreed to do this, but then you hired a hitman to do this. You're a dick.
Yeah. He's okay. So sure, that proves it. But I was just like, everything he's doing is like, I don't want this guy who's a bastard and doesn't know our ways to take the throne. Right. So let's get rid of him. And then, arguably, one of his good friends, because Mira and Orm actually grew up together, betrays him. So I can see him being like, yeah, fuck her, kill her. Yeah. He's like, kill her, because clearly she doesn't have our best interests at heart. And so, yeah, you can keep telling me, oh, it's bad because he's going to fight the surface, but he wasn't wrong about how they're polluting everything and making everything wrong.
Yeah, he was right about a lot of things.
So, like, I'm just like, I just feel like if we could dig deeper, then you wouldn't have to lean on...
That's exactly it. It was a very surface-level movie to me. Because where you rely... And this is, like, when... Ever since you've said this year, the showing not telling thing, I really take that to heart when I look at movies now, because especially with the Amber Heard Mara thing, where she's like, oh, they would never allow me back, it's not in our culture, you don't understand. Yes, it makes sense to have the dialogue there, because it's like, yeah, I don't understand your culture, I'm going to ask, and then it makes sense for the audience. But I'm just like, I wish you would have shown us a little bit and then reiterated it to the audience.
Well, I think that's her belief, and then when she actually goes to her dad and like explains, and then he goes, okay, well then he's the king. Yep. I think that showed that her dad and her, that's what I'm saying, like she actually had an arc, like she had a certain set of beliefs, but she spent time with Arthur and was like, yeah, I guess surface world isn't so bad. And she also learned that her dad is a little more layered than she gave him credit for.
Yes.
Or, I mean, not even that, but that they have this interesting relationship where she says to him, like, you know what, like, don't you find that that's so convenient that, like, a sub would just attack you at this time where he's trying to rally everyone? And then she even is like, without him saying it, she's like, oh, but you're not that gullible, so you obviously don't care. You just want to do this war. And so that's what I'm saying. Mira was a good character in terms of, like,
I did like
she
her.
Actually knows what's up, and she's making decisions, and she's thinking through all these things. Yeah. So yeah, I liked Mira, I liked the parents, and obviously I like Randall Park and anything he does. And I love that he was Dr. Shin, and everyone thinks he's crazy.
Greatest thing.
Everyone thinks he's crazy. No, I've got.
Look at all the data.
Let me finish.
That was the best thing. Like, I thought that one scene, I'm like, oh my god, yes, more of this. And when I was like, we're not going to get more of him. And then to see him in the mid-credits, we'll talk about it. I was like, yeah, I was really happy about that.
I didn't realize he was a bad guy. I also don't know that character. So
I don't know that character at all.
But it just seems like he's being set up as like someone who's going to help the bad guy.
Yeah, he just seems like a Looney Tunes person.
Again, I came to that movie for Black Manta, and they gave me the best possible... Not best possible, but they gave me some cool moments with Black Manta. So I was like, Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, no depth to the character. It was just he's just an angry guy, and then you're like, yep, he killed his dad, which was a weird choice. I'm
Yeah,
like,
it really was.
are you a good guy or not? Because you're like, nah, fuck him. Say sorry to the ocean. I'm like, but you know the ocean's gonna just kill him. Like,
Yeah.
help him. Just like there's moments where heroes then regret that they saved the bad guy. I mean, I guess it's the same idea. You created a monster, but like it just seems like I would rather him regret doing the right thing than him regret doing the wrong thing.
Yeah, but I mean that speaks to the Aquaman that they have created,
Which I
and
don't have a good. Again, that's what I'm
love
saying. I just think he's Jason Momoa, but they even sucked that out of him the more the movie went on.
Yes.
Because when he's in the bar, he's Jason Momoa, and you're like, okay, yeah, that's who
was
they
a
hired.
lot of fun.
And then
Yeah.
the only thing I didn't like about that, which is something that has been brought up about Once Upon a Deadpool too, is that visual cue of he's got I thought that was like his daughter's phone case, but they're like, nah, don't worry about him. He's pink and he's feminine. Like, don't worry about this. Like this. I was like, why? Like, why is that? Why can't it just be the joke that he wanted to get a picture with him?
Yeah.
Like it did. Like it's not like they lean into it and he's gay, so we know we don't have to worry about this gay guy. It was just like, what's the gay? What's the not the gay? What's the pink for? What is that? What is that commentary without fully like rounding that out? Well, I don't understand that. Which is what people have said is they took out Vanessa or Deadpool girlfriend's character's line about legitimizing the butt touch with Colossus, so that the joke is just they're gay, so it's all fine. Don't worry about like trying to this dismissive and undercutting of like, well, you know what? All tension is gone because we made a gay joke, or like we made this once manly man effeminate, and so we don't have to worry about him anymore. I think there's room to get rid of that now in this world where like. We don't need to like.
I never thought about.
We don't have to delegitimize someone because they've got a pink phone case, because that wasn't even really the joke they're going. But it was used to visually cut the tension.
Oh yeah, visually it was used to cut.
Whereas
the tension, for sure.
you can still cut the tension by him being like, "Can I get a selfie?"
Yeah,
that's the joke. Not that he's really not a threat, because in addition to wanting a selfie, he's got a pink phone case, and you're like, And I know, and I only said
that apart. That's something I didn't really care for now that you're talking about it. I'm like, yeah, you know what? You're right.
Because I noticed how it played with my audience too, where I was just like, okay, like because it just again, it's not like they lead into it and he's like, hey, you're fabulous. I wanted it. It was just more like it's just this subtle like knock where you're just like, but like he could still beat him up if he wanted to. It doesn't really matter. Like, or
no,
I mean, no, he can't. But what I'm saying is, if there was ever any tension, that doesn't go away just because he has a pink phone case. I mean, we already know that Aquaman will beat him up if he has to.
Yeah.
But the thing,
which is what I appreciate.
The scene
with that
works
scene.
because you feel tense that these people might not like who he is.
Yeah.
And what works about it again is just they do like him. They just want a picture with him.
Yeah.
And so you don't need that extra layer. That's what I find, especially now I've gone back and looked at a bunch of comedy specials for the year-end thing. Like, you don't need to add I think there's like a old guard, like mostly Seinfeld, of like that think like you really have to drive it home by adding that little
really like double down
that
on
effeminate
joke kind of
like making this like joke about he's not really a man or like whatever.
Well,
again, they don't speak to it.
I'm not sure if it's if we're gonna break that down. I don't think it's that he's not really a man. Or he's not masculine or like whatever, because he's still a huge dude at the end. It's just that he's is visually somewhat less of a threat.
But again, think
like
about why you think it's visually less of a threat.
I understand that. I understand what they're thinking, and I understand why a lot of people are like, I don't understand what's going on. Everything that you're saying is accurate, and I never really broke it down, and I'm just like live breaking it down now verbally, because this is typically how I think is out loud.
Yeah, no problem.
So it's one of those things where I agree 100%. And it's something that, you're right. The joke didn't need to be. It's like, hey, can we just have a selfie or something like that?
Yeah.
Having it pink, I don't care for it now. I don't.
I understand how people think I'm just really nitpicking, but it's one of those things that, like, as we talked about, even in Creed, like, moments that like take you out of the world, that was a moment that took me out of it, because then I have to start thinking about, well, like, why do they think that's funny? Why is this like and what is this scene trying to accomplish? And the scene is trying to accomplish, don't worry about this guy. You thought he was something, but he's not. And so that extra visual cue is making me think like, well, what is about that like
Well, the
they
funny
want to
thing
get
is,
across?
no,
Which they could have
Yeah.
done it completely the same, just with him saying, "Can I get a selfie?"
So here's my thing: is the reason why I didn't think too much about that scene was because in the trailer they made me think that scene was going to go a very different way.
Yeah.
They made me think it's like, oh, these guys are going to try to beat him up and then put at this to test their strength or whatever, do like that kind of like, hey, I want to arm wrestle you at a bar kind of thing. But the idea, I'm like, oh, they're building into that, and then. You know, they're going to get their asses handed to them. Like, my concern with that scene was I was so taken out of that because of the trailer already.
Yeah.
In the sense where I'm like, I don't want to see Aquaman beat the shit out of a whole bunch of people and just be like, or the thing is, boom, and then cut to they're like outside of the bar in a trash can and Aquaman whip their ass. It's like, I'm not going to like this scene. So the moment I saw that scene, it just got me to the point where I'm like, I'm not going to enjoy this. And it just took me out of it so much already that I didn't even notice the implications of the pink phone.
Because he even says, "Don't touch me," which again would have been fine if this was just looking like would have just been looking like and maybe this I will cop to maybe this is me overthinking it, but I do feel like the in part and parcel of the he's got a pink phone is this public figure. You could have just played off as like, oh no, like I'm not that kind of guy. But I don't think Aquaman is played. Like Aquaman is played for like like I'm a gregarious. Let's all hug and like bro out and stuff. Yeah. And he was like,
that's totally
when the guy went to take the selfie. He's like, don't touch me. Like don't put your hands on me. And I was like, but then, and so I guess why I'm picking on that as well is that as the scene progresses, they obviously are touching and having a great time. Yeah. So it's just like, but then what was the don't touch me thing? Like
to me, the whole don't touch me thing is like, why did you approach me with that tone if you wanted something positive out of this for you? Yes. Now I don't trust your intentions. Yeah. Like that to me was what that whole don't touch me was. So it was like, just keep your distance, okay? Like I don't like. I get that. Like when people are like, hey, let's take a photo, and there's instantly the whole like, oh, let's I'm like, I don't love that. It depends who I'm with. Obviously, there's people I have like more comfort levels with and everything else. There's some people where I'm like, I don't trust the intention of your selfie right now. Why are you taking this?
Well, we've really broken this scene down. Anyway, the point is, he was peak Aquaman, or what I assume they wanted out of him in that scene, and like even like when he's on the sub, and I feel like he did some kind of New Zealand Maori chant. But then that never really comes back again until the end. I was just like, why are they, before he throws the spear, I'm just like, why, like, I feel like that's all part of what they hired him to do. Yeah. And that all gets washed out once he starts, like, once the meat of the movie starts.
I agree.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't really know what they want Aquaman to be. It's just like.
They don't know what they want Aquaman. So here's the thing. To me, I think there was a decision made at the creative team that were like, Aquaman is traditionally a very serious character, and nobody likes him, and he's already a joke. So let's make him a jokester and everything like this, and let's flip everything around.
Yeah, I didn't think his jokes worked as well either, because no one reacted to them.
They don't
the
work
way
well.
They should have. Like it was like he was just talking at a wall.
It was weird because it's like every one of his jokes. Except for the like, I could have just peed on it one. I really appreciated that because I'm like,
I like that scene.
Because that's totally within your character to think or say something like that. Yeah. But the whole thing in the beginning where there's so many things that just fell so flat, and I was like, oh, they were using that only for the trailer and not in the actual cut. When I saw in the actual cut, I was so like, ugh.
What was it?
The whole like when he gets on the submarine, he's like, permission to come aboard. I'm like, dude, oh man,
yeah.
I wish they would have done something different.
No, I knew that was going to happen.
I didn't realize they were going to put them in the final cut.
Yeah.
So, whatever.
The other thing I thought was weird is that at the end, they're like, who is Aquaman? Like, this guy doesn't have a mask. He looks like the most distinct person ever. If you have the outline of the silhouette of him with just a question mark as well, I was like, what is the point of this? How do people don't know who Aquaman is?
He's a walking lion of a human being.
Even if you don't know his name is Arthur Curry, it's not like he lives a regular life. This guy goes in between the ocean and the surface level, so it's not like you're gonna be like, oh, I can't look up Aquaman, and he probably isn't listed.
He's kind of like how
you
Thor,
will see him.
Yeah, it's kind of like how Thor in Thor 3 was just like, hey, can we take a photo with you? And he's like, yeah, selfie. It's like if you were to be like, blackout silhouette image of Thor, you'd be like, yeah, that's this guy right there.
Yeah.
His hair makes him look like that.
I mean, now that he's got a haircut, he looks less distinct.
oh, yes,
but
absolutely.
Aquaman does not have that.
No, he does
He's
not.
got the,
He's got
lion
that
mane.
lion's mane and, like, beard and, like...
He just
I mean,
looks-
there's so much in his eyes, right?
I didn't understand that take of
yeah.
like, because Aquaman never has a mask, so I don't understand what this like. Who is this mysterious vigilante? It's like it's Aquaman. Like, you already have a name for him. I'm sure you know what he looks like.
You mean in the news reports, actually?
Yeah, like,
I
there's that
feel like
section-
the reason why they got that is probably because I'm like, yeah, if there was never any clear image of who he was from a facial standpoint, and
I mean,
Aquaman's
someone
also
just
not,
took a selfie with him in 2018. That would be on Instagram or something, and people would be like,
Good
yeah,
point.
and he's tagged him.
good point. If the news media didn't know who he was, why would the bar people know who he is?
Exactly, you would only know if you were watching the
Good
news
point.
and be like, "Oh,
point.
you're the, yeah, it,
You're
like,
the fish fella.
yeah." That was an okay joke, but again, it's not like they
I like that
reacted to
joke.
his joke. It was like,
Yeah.
"You're fish boy," like, and he's like, "It's fish man."
Fish man.
But like, it's just it's just a close up on him, so I guess it's just for us.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I think
There's
there
a
was
lot
this,
of things that didn't make sense in
like
this
it
movie.
didn't.
For sure.
Other than brief shining moments of me legitimately enjoying the back and forth with Mira and Aquaman, like
I did
when
not like that.
when he was like, "Yeah, it worked for Pinocchio, it'll work for us," and then she like showed him the book, and he's like, "There's a book of this." I got it from a movie. Like
Yeah.
stuff like that was interesting, or I could have
That
just
was
peed
fun.
on this. Like I thought that worked well, and again, it didn't work across the board for
No.
them, but it worked in brief moments.
Yeah,
I
and
thought.
it was that Sicily scene. That's probably where it worked best. But at the same time, it was not because I felt like there was good chemistry between Amber Heard and Jason Momoa. I just thought it was Jason Momoa delivering that line really, really well. It's like, oh, this is a book I got from a movie kind of thing. Like that to me was really.
I
really
liked
funny.
when he ate the flower, even though he knew she was being an idiot.
That was him just being like cute. He was like, oh,
But
yeah,
that's
I'll make
what,
you.
again. That's
normal.
the showing, not telling, in terms of like
Yes.
that moment. There's no dialogue. He
Yep.
just saw her, and he's like, "It's not gonna hurt me to like join in on this."
Yeah.
And like, so that's showing that there, maybe not chemistry the best word, but like there is a growth in the relationship that he
Yes,
he
there's
had a
definitely growth
moment
in it,
to
yeah.
like be like, "No, dummy,
Yeah.
this is it." And he's like, "No, you know what? It's fine. Let's just lean into this together." Like
Mm-hmm.
that stuff like that, I thought worked. That he didn't have moments like that with anyone else.
Mm.
Like it seemed like he was just talking at a wall with his dad. It seemed like he was just talking at a wall with
Yep.
his mom. Like you know, and like the Orm, like I like the fights between him and Orm. I thought those were really well staged
Mm-hmm.
and pulled off. But like their relationship, I was like, they might as well not talk to each other because like
Yeah,
there's no like discovery. It's just like, yeah, you're the half breed bastard. I don't like you, and I'm like, I understand it. And he's like, and you're
But
my little brother.
You know, though, I didn't get it from the sense of a purist, like a supremacist kind of standpoint of like, you're a half breed, you're a surface dweller kind of thing. It was more like, oh, you're partially related. Well, I mean, no,
No.
actually, never mind.
Yeah.
Yes, the more I'm thinking out loud, yeah, no, it was just purely a thing. I'll retract that. But so, which is why I appreciated that dialogue. It's like, for years I dreamed about meeting my bigger brother. Man, you're such a dick. Like whatever that line
He's
was.
the little brother, which
Yeah.
also took me out of it.
Oh, the
I'm
little
like,
brother,
this-
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
Patrick Wilson is not younger than Jason Momoa.
That's true.
I was like, come on.
Yeah, that's pretty
But I mean, they did a good job of de-aging, or this movie had de-aging too, which was
a
interesting.
lot of de-aging. That's something I want to speak to. I
'Cause
do
I was like-
not like de-aged William Dafoe.
Oh, that I
like
don't care.
current William
Oh, yeah.
Dafoe.
That part I didn't care about. I was just like, oh yeah, they did de-age Nicole Kidman. I did see Vasta and his
But
dad. I was
the
like,
funny thing is, like, Nicole Kidman, and she's gorgeous, gorgeous. She's clearly had some reconstructive surgery to me.
Mm-hmm.
So when they de-aged her, so to speak, I'm just like, that looks like current Nicole Kidman, depending on how much makeup she's got on or something like that, because of the amount of work she's got.
Mm-hmm.
It was less impressive to me than Michael Douglas being de-aged. That was
oh,
crazy.
I'm assuming Disney has more money for that. I don't know
I-
how much money was put into this, considering the timeline that it came out.
Don't know either, but whatever it was, I assume more money was poured into the underwater visual effects.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I
Yes.
think there's. I mean, to me, I never have real qualms about that. Like, it would have to be really wonky for me to be like, this isn't good.
Like the mustache thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
But that's
fair
not de-aging. That was just like me being like, they could have just kept him with a beard.
Yeah.
If they had to, or
True.
just pay to shave his thing. Like, what the fuck? Like that
It's
was.
just still one of the best
And
things of all time.
when in Fallout, I was like, his mustache means nothing. This wasn't a plot point. It doesn't. They just were being petty.
It really was. It didn't mean anything.
It made no difference. It's not like, oh man, the guy with the mustache. Then he shaves his mustache. And like, I get it. Like they needed that on there. Anyway,
And I love how they were like, nope, his character's got a mustache. It's more threatening. It's just like, no one thinks that of mustaches from a physical beat you up standpoint. They think of it threatening in different ways, but not.
it was
really
just a petty
that-
thing they did.
It
which
was
weird.
definitely a petty
Anyway,
thing.
yeah. So
What else do we have to say about this movie? Didn't like redheaded Dolph Lundgren. That was just really weird. That's like the same problem I have with redhead wig Woody Harrelson. It was just weird.
oh, that just looked weird.
It
yeah,
just looked so
like
bad.
it partly. I
like,
know they were trying to
why
put
is-
grays in his beard, but it just
Yeah.
looked like they gave up on
Yeah,
coloring his beard. But I liked his character. I liked that he
I
was
love
like,
his character.
yeah, I liked that he was like, you know what, yeah. I don't really want to side with Orm, but I also want to get the same thing done as Orm, so I'm on board,
Yes.
and I will look past all the terrible things until his daughter comes to him and appeals to him, and then he's just like, yeah, all right.
Yep.
I don't hate. I'm not that blind that I'm like, okay, like I'm willing to like let my daughter suffer for this.
Yeah, see, I thought his character, that was a nice little character. So
Yeah.
Dolph Lundgren's characters, like with Creed 2, have done some interesting things on screen to us lately. It's just like, oh, I thought you were going to walk away from your son. And nope, you threw in the towel. You care about him. You love him. That's awesome.
He loved his kids in the movies
Yes,
this
he
year.
did. Yeah.
Good for him.
Good for him. Because he's not a... Visually, he's just like, he's more effective.
He looks like he'd be mean.
He looked like he'd be mean, like the mean dad. Good for him. I like that they're
What
breaking down
else
that
happened?
toxic
Did you
masculinity.
like the trench scene? Like when they fight those monsters?
Whatever. I didn't care for it. I didn't. At that point, I was just like, "Oh, we're just this movie just keeps going." Mm-hmm. Just didn't.
Did you
care
love
for it.
Julie Andrews as the fucking whatever Kraken thing? I know it's not a Kraken, but obviously a version of a Kraken.
That was Julie Andrews.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
We haven't eaten in eons. I'm like, that's just not gonna satisfy your hunger. He's just Aquaman. He's not.
Funny, yeah. He's a little like guy.
I
compared to
really
you.
like that. That's what she did, but she was like, "Fuck off, Mary Poppins. I'm not doing your movie."
I did not realize that. That's amazing. I really appreciate that now. Yeah, to me, the major issues with this movie were the fact that I'm like, I couldn't tell whether or not it's taking itself seriously. There were parts where I felt like it was taking itself seriously,
Yeah.
and then parts where it's like you're clearly joking
I
around
keep
with yourself.
reading that it doesn't take itself seriously, but I don't think that's
I don't
true.
think that's true either. The
I
writing
think there's
takes its-
moments
yeah.
where it's obviously joking, like you said.
Yeah.
But there's characters that are just too, like Orm is just too serious.
Just way
There's
too serious.
Like he doesn't even have like a charming villain moment where he
Yeah.
like makes a joke with Black Manta and like you feel like he's manipulating. It's just like, no, here's an interaction. Here's
Yeah.
our transition.
Here's like a
transaction. I think he
single-
legitimately says our
everything
transaction
falls
is over and stuff.
Yes.
You're just like, okay. Black Manta certainly is not charming. I don't know if he's ever supposed to be, but I was just like, you know what? I got what I. You showed him out of the suit fighting,
Yep.
and then he fought, and then they like. I know they didn't kill him, but they did that thing from The Simpsons where Homer just falls down the cliff, and I'm like, "Wow, they're really leaning into like bashing him
Yeah.
in." I was like,
They're-
"I know
I
he's
felt-
not. I know he's not going to die." So like,
Yeah.
why are they showing this? Like,
Yes.
this is just mean.
It's just really, really mean.
Especially since his whole thing was, "I'm not taking over the world. I'm going to kill the guy who
Yes.
let my dad die."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, I don't begrudge him being like, I want to kill
I
Aquaman."
understand your motives. I do. I
It's
really
not
do.
even like Thanos where you're like, there's a better way to do it. It's like, no,
Yep.
he let your dad die, which is meaner than just killing him off and not letting him suffer.
Yes.
And you need to make him pay.
Yep, I understood those. Very weird choice because I guess
I guess
that's what
the
made
thing.
the knife
He-
special with the Black Manta knife is that it was Atlantean steel because it did pierce.
that was the thing.
Arthur's
When I was watching,
thing.
I was like, wait, is he not from, like, I know for this movie he's not, but I was like, now I don't remember. Is Black Manta, like, from Atlantis, or is he just
No.
a human that.
He's just a human. That
Always. Oh,
Yeah,
interesting.
he's
Well,
just a
obviously
human.
the grandfather has some connection.
the grandfather, was the Navy SEAL or whatever during
Yeah,
the
yeah.
war, and
But he must
have
have
come into
found-
contact
yeah.
with some Atlantean steel and forged that knife out. I forget that backstory. It's like, oh, or like well, he had this one and gave this to me when I was around your age, and now I'm giving
Yeah.
it to you. Kind of. I'm like, oh,
I don't like that
means
he was-
he's gonna die in that
Oh, yeah.
scene.
Yeah, I knew he had to die, or else
Oh,
it would be
easily
like
he
it
had to
would
die.
be such a weird thing if he's like, "No, I got everything I want. I just want to kill you."
Yep, that'd be super weird. It's like, oh no, or like you bested me in a fight. Now it's personal.
He really fucked Aquaman up, though.
Oh, he did. He
was like,
did.
oh, man,
really
like-
did.
Wow.
Good for
All
him.
right.
Yeah,
Good
it's
for
like,
you,
oh,
man.
you just needed some stuff that would actually pierce the skin. You needed an upgrade.
Yeah.
And then you're actually a threat now. Which is funny because I still don't see him as a threat.
Well, I mean, that's the issue with Aquaman, right? Like, they've made him so powered that, like...
Well, the funny thing is, like...
I guess all you could do is have those lasers. And, like, once he, on the beach, does the laser thing, I'm like, oh, wow, like, Aquaman will have to dodge those. But then right away he hits him with it and he's fine. I was like...
That's disappointing.
Okay. I mean... To be fair, he still stabbed him up and like burnt his hands and stuff. He left him in a bad position, but I was just like, if that's not going to kill him, then I don't really know what's going to happen here.
You know what also bothered me? So like, and I don't know if Aquaman, like this version of Aquaman, has like super healing powers or anything like that. But like when he does he?
I would imagine.
Okay.
I mean, she just put seaweed on him, and he's like, "Yep, I'm fine."
But I thought that was some like Atlantean like medical whatever, medical seaweed. But anyways, the idea of him blocking that shot and then his skin repairing back to normal with all the tattoos, I was like, I don't. That's
a good
something
point.
that I wish they would have addressed. Like, because they took so much care to address so many other things.
I know what you mean. I just I knew was going to be like, they're not going to not have him have those tattoos. I think that's all part of it.
The thing is, and that's just me from someone that loves tattoos and is always curious about like, if I fall and scrape my skin, what's my tattoo going to look like?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think this is a valid nitpick. I just, for me, I was like, but they'd already lost me by that point. I was like, I see where this movie's going.
Yeah, at a certain point in the movie, I'm just like, I'm going to click on things to criticize more than anything else. Like, there was just that.
Yeah, because I just, as I said, as soon as the Aquaman title came up, and I was just like, this does nothing for me, and everything about it is set up for me to feel like invigorated or something, like the way that if they show like.
Sure.
Even though you know what you're going to see, like when they show you the Star Wars title at the beginning of a Star Wars movie, there's like an energy burst. You like, this is happening. Okay, like we're doing. Whereas like with this, I was just like, oh yeah, it is Aquaman at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So I think people will
you know what I really
probably
love?
like it. Yeah, what?
So when Nicole Kidman reappears in the trench scene and the hidden valley, it's just like, it's such a ridiculous scene where you're in the center of the earth and there are dinosaurs. And
no one talks about
Nobody talks about this. But at the same time, too, like just the wardrobe options, like, oh, your glove is a lobster claw. It was so funny.
It was very Ant-Man and the Wasp. Like she was clearly the Michelle Pfeiffer.
It was just so funny.
Interesting choice because Michelle Pfeiffer was in Batman Returns and then Nicole Kidman in Batman Forever.
I know that little swap.
But that world. What I also kept thinking, like, so she's fought this. I'm gonna keep calling it a Kraken because I don't remember what it's called. Julie Andrews' character.
I would prefer to call it a Kraken. I decided going into this, I'm like, I don't care what it's called. Visually, it's a Kraken to me.
But like, she's like, I fought this thing so many times. Like,
did you
see? Like, if she's fought that thing, like, why didn't it just eat her? Like, what was happening where it was just like, I beat you, bye, bye. See you in a couple years.
You can't have just tried once, re-healed really, really well, and be like, shit, I'm not doing that again. You would have been like, no,
it's the way for her to get home. So,
I mean, but also at the same time too, it's still applicable to be like, if they think the Atlanteans, if they think I'm dead, then they're not going to attack you or your husband.
Yeah, but if they already think she's dead, so she could just go home, to the dad, Tom.
Good point.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I understood that she would keep trying. I just was like, but you fought her every time you tried, like, or even more than once. It just seems like the one time you fight her, you'd be dead.
Yeah. It doesn't because they go to show you all the other people that have tried, and that's the other thing too. That's what I didn't appreciate about this movie. Like, if all those people have tried, all those thousands of people have tried to get the trident, then clearly they know where the trident is. They didn't need that whole scene with the whole water thing, which was stupid to me because I'm like, okay, if that place was actually underwater, you needed one drop to make everything work. wouldn't the volume of water, you need much, much more water? Or
Wait,
anything like
you're
that?
talking about when they're in the Sahara
In
Desert?
the Sahara Desert, and then they're just like...
But she already said only highborn people can breathe the air, so it's not like everyone.
No.
in Atlantis can do it.
What I meant is that wouldn't they need more water to make that thing work? If
Well,
the
we're
whole
talking
thing
about
was
I thought
fully
your thing
submerged
was
underwater.
if everyone knows where it is, why don't more people try?
No. I understand why, but what I mean by that is clearly people do know where it is. They didn't need that whole like Sahara thing.
Yeah. You still need to know.
The cool thing about that was
there's
they got
no
the
one alive to
bottle.
tell you where it is, so you still
I guess
need.
that's true.
You still need to figure out the
Yeah.
path.
I think what was really, really cool, the thing I really did like, because I love National Treasure so much, and this reminded me of National Treasure.
When you look through the bottle?
When they look for the bottle, it's like, oh, no. It's like, and then it's like, no, but this wasn't this. This wasn't this. It's like, oh, in his hand, and then he put the bottle in. I'm like, that was cool.
Yeah,
That was really cool. I like that.
yeah, and how all of a sudden he was like, "No, my dad made me learn history." I'm like, but nothing else. Like, what? You do seem kind of dumb in most things.
You seem really dumb in most things.
I don't know about
You
really.
seem
I just
awkward.
like you just seem like you don't care, and like
But at
that
the same
history
time,
thing
like,
didn't come up.
The Romulus thing, it is a really cool story. The Greek
Yeah.
mythology and stuff.
Oh yeah, no, I
history and stuff.
appreciated that he had that part
That was a lot of fun.
going on.
And I appreciated how much more worldly that he appears to be and everything like that.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot here that it's just like, where are you going with this? And why are you taking such a long time to do it? So it was clearly one of those movies where I think this is trying to be a different Avatar in the sense it's like, let's
he
show
wasn't
you
trying-
the world that we've built and everything like that.
yeah,
Let's do
that's what
all
I'm
that.
saying.
Yeah.
So that I don't take as, I mean, I wouldn't criticize because he's been quite clear of like, I got offered Flash or Aquaman. I took Aquaman because not a lot of people
Yes.
care about him, and I can build my own world.
Yes.
So I understand that he wants to show off the world.
I
So
understand
the visuals
that
are very
entirely.
nice.
Yeah.
Because he said the movie that I pitched is the movie I got to shoot, is the movie that I got to put in theaters.
What
so
to me was-
which is what we were
yeah.
talking about, is that it seemed like there was no intervention in what he wanted to do.
Yes.
Which was true. Like even before, I don't even remember when we started talking about it, but it was like he seems to be having a good time. Same with Patty Jenkins. It just seemed like Zack Snyder got fucked, and anyone who tried to touch
Yep.
Flash. It seems like they all get fucked. Zack Snyder got fucked, but for some reason, Aquaman and Wonder Woman, they're like, "Go for it, do whatever you got to do."
Yeah.
Which is an interesting choice. And I'm assuming
It's a
the
very
guy who does.
interesting choice. Very
I'm
interesting.
assuming that the guy who's doing Adam Sandberg, I think, is doing Shazam. Seems like he got to do what he wanted.
Oh, okay.
So that's good to know that they're letting. And I've heard that a lot of that has to do with the new guy that came in and is like restructuring and
I see.
But like again, James Wan predates that, and he
Yeah, I think
and
so.
so does Patty Jenkins. But
Yeah.
I'm assuming going into Wonder Woman 84, she'll feel like she can. Like she said, this isn't really going to be a sequel, so it does seem like they're letting these directors do what they want to do. I just don't understand what the issue is with Flash, where they keep like losing directors, because that reeks of studio notes that
You know
people
what
just
I-
don't want to deal with.
You know what I feel is very interesting? I feel like if I was to think like them or try to understand what they're trying to do, to me it seems like, oh, people really care about these characters, so we really everyone has to be involved in this. And then it seems like, oh, Wonder Woman, Flash, Shazam. Shazam is the next thing that we have to examine to see whether or not they have that kind of approach to. But like Aquaman, look, these people don't really care about these. So you guys go do that. We're going to focus in on this. And maybe that's what caused these movies to be a little bit more successful. Because they had less intervention from head office, I'm going to say. To be like, and head office goes like, we want to make, this is the movie that people are going to like, we know, and then, but the thing is, they're not trusting their directors to be like, no, this is the audience, and this is what they're going to want to do.
Well, I mean, famously, we heard that Patty Jenkins had to fight for No Man's Land scene,
Yes.
so obviously there is still intervention, but she got to do what she wanted.
Yes. She fought
I
hard
don't
enough about
feel like James. I mean, who knows? James Wan did say it was a hard shoot, but he made it seem like that was more like he had to lose Jason Momoa to go do more Justice League stuff while they were filming, and that probably fucks
Right.
things up. And
Right.
also, he was. And what I do appreciate about the movie, I don't even know if I've said anything positive. I think I have, but like I did like that they gave them their outfits, and like not because I care about them, but because like they didn't go like, nah, that's stupid. Let's find like a cool way, like more realistic way to show Ocean Master or Black Manta or even Aquaman. Like
Yeah.
they all look like from the comics. So if you're coming to a movie and you get excited by seeing Aquaman in the titles, you will be rewarded with stuff like that, which I think goes a long way.
Those comic suits and everything like that, those outfits, they really did.
And I should put Mara in that as well. She looks like what I've seen in comics as well.
Absolutely. I don't. The funny the positive things I have said about this movie so far about Randall Park alone, and I should say the fight scenes, choreography were just fantastic, especially underwater.
I do think they leaned on explosions to jump scare you a bit too much.
Totally.
By the third time, I was like, oh, so this is just gonna happen throughout the movie. Then things will just explode and then people will jump out.
Yeah, it was very Michael Bay-esque of that.
Yes,
just like
that element. I was like, wow, we're really going for like shock and awe with explosions.
Yeah,
here.
that's why I was like, James Wan. I'm like, interesting.
I did get a Michael Bay thing, but
I got
sorry, you were going
to
to say some positive things.
Some positive things. Some other things I liked about the movie were. God, I lost my train of thought.
Sorry,
I did. You know how there was early on a lot of criticisms and comments about the underwater like bioluminescence weirdness of Atlantis and all that kind of stuff, being like trippy or visual or whatever. I'm like, they explained that right away. It's like, or like relatively soon. It's like you as an Atlantean, you can can see underwater. I'm like, of course it makes sense to show it like that. Then we're seeing what he sees. That's great. Like we should do that.
And I like that they did put effects on their voices when they were on underwater.
I did like that a lot.
That made me realize when James Wan was like, when James Wan's like, I feel like people are overthinking it. They're just gonna talk underwater.
The other thing I really, really appreciated too was the underwater dogfight.
I didn't care for that. But
I like that a lot.
I thought of you when it was happening because there was very like Darth Vader pursuing and like TIE fighter visuals going on with Orm and everything. So I was like, yeah, that's nice.
I like that a lot because I'm like, I don't love a lot of war movies, but I do like the aerial dogfights or like any kind of aerial fight in like a movie or scene and something like that, which is why I'm like, this is awesome. This is so cool right now. Just like the upward dynamics and even the underwater fight, like the Ring of Fire thing.
I like both times he fights Orm. I thought that was really well done.
I just thought like the last time he fights Orm, it was just like, oh, they rushed this.
Well, they came out of the water, so they couldn't do it.
No, I mean just like I was expecting a more epic fight. And it just like it was really quickly.
I think what we've established early on in this review is that this movie wasn't really willing to go deep. It just wanted to show you a lot of things.
True.
So everything feels like even though, as I said, it seemed like they didn't have enough story. What they could have done if they wanted to keep the same length of time is more character work. So like,
I would have appreciated
so that even if you have a shorter fight scene, because I do feel like I was fatigued by the fights. By that point, you feel like it's a bit more entertaining because you care about those characters more than just, well, yeah, that's the bad guy, that's the good guy.
Yeah, I would have liked that a little bit more with the Mara and King Nearest relationship. I would have liked to see that a little bit more develop. There was other than that, like everything else was it was fine. Like the best relationship that I saw was probably Jason Momoa and Tamira Morrison.
His dad. I didn't think they connected at all.
Not visually on screen, but I'm like, I get why you're entering the fight now. Is because your dad being injured by that wave, it was actually a threat to you, and now I get why you're being pulled in. Yeah,
but also don't forget, like this movie isn't in a vacuum. He already, like she even says, you stopped Steppenwolf. So like he's just a guy that will. That's why his decision to not help that father and son where the father is dying is weird because this is acknowledging that yes, he just did all that stuff with Justice League where it's clear he just wants to save the world and wants I mean, or at least not be bothered by bad guys. Right. So like like you mess with my dad, but I don't think that
was
I mean, I didn't really think that. I just thought like, there's a threat and I got to stop it.
Fair enough. Then to me, there's not that much.
I liked his dad. I thought they did a good job, but for me, everything to do with the dad had to do with his mom as well, and that I was invested in their relationship because I was just like, I don't. Like,
I don't know. It was just a confusing movie to me because it was just like the script was taking itself seriously, the visuals were taking itself seriously, but the dialogue was not, and I was just like,
I mean, from only him though, like all the dialogue was pretty serious other than
That's fair.
Jason Momoa.
Yeah, and it's just like
Which is why I said if it was called Jason Momoa Goes to Atlantis, it would have way more sense.
it would make way more sense. And to me, it's just like it just speaks to Jason Momoa not being the right person to play Aquaman.
I mean, he's right if they want to keep him the way he was at the beginning of the movie, but then they like drag him into this other stuff where he gets muted, and I don't understand.
That's
why.
and I was just like,
if that's your take on
feel like
Aquaman, it's
Momoa,
fine. You don't need him to be the regal guy. You could perfectly fine doing what you did with him in.
But now to expect Momoa
Justice
to be
League.
the regal like king and all that kind of stuff is weird. Now I'm just like, oh no, you're gonna be the king that's just like sitting on the throne weird and like in weird positions because you can't get comfortable now. Like I can't take it seriously. It's just I don't know what to expect if because there's going to be a sequel. I can see why people are like, yeah, this is great. And all that
it's
kind of
making
stuff.
a lot of money. So
It's
I
making
guess
a lot of
it'll
money. They're going to make a sequel out of it, but also because it's just like, is it a better direction for the DC universe? 100%. But it's not where it needs to be.
Well, there's joy in it, so that's good.
Exactly.
Like,
there's fun, there's joy, there's all these different things, but it just it's weird. It's a weird movie.
It didn't really
It's
come
fine.
together.
It's fine.
All right, let's rate it.
Yeah.
Oh wait, we didn't talk about the mid-credits scene.
Oh,
Dr. Shin saves Manta, even though by all accounts Manta should be dead.
But yeah, because
He
I
got his
thought
head
I
bashed
think
in so many
Not
times.
even the head bashed in. I thought the helmet just exploded, and I'm like, oh shit, your head blew off.
Yeah.
That was crazy. And it was like, wait, what? It didn't?
He just
That's
has now. He
weird.
looks like more of a pirate because he's probably gonna have to have an eye patch or
Yeah.
something.
It's just like half your face is melty.
Yeah.
That's not really a problem for
So
a
it wasn't really
character
played
that
for
has-
jokes. It was just more like, but next time,
Yeah, but it's just like that makes no difference when we can see what your helmet's doing. It's auto targeting for you and doing all that kind of stuff. But also, it's just like you're
Well, I
wearing a
guess it
helmet.
just means
Visually,
he'll
it doesn't-
commit to wearing the suit now. Like
Yeah, I
he
guess.
won't be able to. He won't be able to operate outside of the suit.
Yeah.
So it'll be more like the comics where you don't really
It's
engage
not-
with him
Yeah.
out of the suit. Maybe he takes his mask off a couple times, but he's usually always in the suit.
It's just to me the mid-credits scene is
It was more Randall, baby.
it's more Randall, which I love.
It was more of the two characters I came to see.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting a lot from Black Manta. I actually got more of him than I thought I would.
Right.
So that was fine. But I remember I don't remember what point it was. It was before we saw Randall. I'm like, oh, Randall's did this. I forgot. Yeah, all right.
To me-
something else to look forward to, baby.
To me, the mid-credit scene was weird because I'm like, why is this being set up as the next big bad for Aquaman? Because he just beat him pretty easily.
No, he
And
didn't
then-
beat him easily. But also, to your
Well,
point, it's not.
But,
It's like
I mean-
it's a weird thing because he has to just be a consistent villain. He
Yeah.
can't be the next big bad because there's no real satisfying ending other than you just would have to kill him. And it's
Exactly.
like, so he dies because he wanted to avenge his
Yeah,
dad's
this
death.
is because the thing is, okay, well, not that.
I
yeah,
feel
you're
like
right,
this is
Aquaman
pulling him
didn't-
away from being a pirate and just focusing on wanting to kill Aquaman.
Yes,
I don't
which
think
is
he's
a
just going to be
singularly
like,
driven character, and I was like, this sucks now.
Yeah.
But at the same time, too, like, yes, you're right. He didn't have an easy time beating Black Manta right off the bat, but at this point in time, there's no level of expectation to think that Black Manta would be any more of a threat to.
I think Dr. Shin's going to help him.
Yes, but
he knows
Dr. Shin
more
doesn't
about
have the resources that Orm did.
Well,
and
but that's what I'm saying. Orm's arrested, but he has the theoretical stuff about Atlantis
guess.
that, with the help of, I'm assuming Black Manta will help him get there or something, or like he obviously has an in. I think that's what it's setting up, is that his theoretical knowledge of this will replace Orm's just actual of it, like access to the resources,
Right.
and so he can even maybe improve on what
But
was given to him.
But see, that's what's
Because
weird
what
to
happened
me.
was Orm gave him like raw stuff. I mean, he gave him
Yes.
his own thing, and then Black Manta tinkered with it so it suited his needs. But if he's got Shin with him, who also knows how to work with this Atlantis or Atlantean things, it might make a more formidable foe.
But here's the thing, like I get what you're saying, 100%. That's the angle I explored when I thought about this movie after the fact. What was weird to me was that you showed that whole Black Manta thing, like him using the technology, remaking it to be his own. You've already shown us that he's capable of adopting the Atlantean technology to his own purposes, and even engineering it to the point where you can make it so that, yes, it's going to shoot out of your face, but not blow up your face. Like, clearly know that science, that technology. So the addition of this new Doctor, to me, doesn't actually say anything. It's just like, oh, you got two guys that are probably equally as whatever. Yeah,
I think they fill gaps for each other. I don't think they're the same.
But that's where I would have liked a little bit more development of
it's a
Randall
mid-credit
Park's character. It's a mid-credit scene, but it's just like, to me, it's a bad one because it doesn't increase the threat. It's the same threat, but now you have an Aquaman that's more
I mean,
powerful,
according to you, I think it does increase the threat.
Because to me, I'm looking at this like Aquaman now has the most powerful trident in the world. He is actually king of Atlantis.
Again, he's not going to be the big bad, or it would be a mistake to make him the big bad.
Yes.
He is a constant threat, though, which is fine.
Right.
And so to show me that he still will be a reasonable constant threat, it's
So to
fine.
me,
I'm fine with that. But if you're looking at it as like, oh, he's the next big bad, no. I don't think that's how they should go with it.
Yes.
I can't speak to what they're going to do. I never know what they're going to do. But
this
what
to
I think
me-
is, if you know Aquaman and Black Manta's relationship, it's not like a one-off thing. He's just always there. So this is just showing you, don't worry, he's still going to be around.
To me, this is just foreshadowed from the relationship that Crossbones has with Captain America, in the sense where...
Oh, in the comics, not in the movies.
Yes.
Yeah.
But in the movies, the only satisfying ending out of this is going to be he's introduced in the first act and gets killed off very quickly, or gets imprisoned very, very quickly, and is not a threat anymore in the second movie. So I don't know why they chose this as a scene versus like...
Well, I mean, I'm not saying in terms of characterization, but he is like his Joker. You just know that they're going to have...
They're going to keep battling
this eternal battle.
Yeah.
So then,
and I'm just
to me,
like,
this mid-credit scene is perfectly fine because it's showing you he'll be back to like fighting strength
it just doesn't
with a little
do
bit
that.
more knowledge.
It just doesn't do that for me.
Yeah.
It just doesn't.
But I think you're looking for it to do something else.
I'm looking for it to build a bigger threat or something like that. But
Yeah,
to
we
me,
talked
the
about
biggest
this. You
threat
can't
is just
keep
not-
going bigger. You have to find different ends.
Yeah,
Making it a bigger threat is if you're looking
It's
to just
boring.
kill off Aquaman, then sure.
Yeah,
but then
it's just
you
more
don't.
boring.
Then you have
I
nowhere
get
to go. But what you need is different ways to affect Aquaman.
Fair enough. The one thing that I wish that they did with this movie a little bit more than I wish they would have done the more environmental aspect. Of
Yeah,
this
that
movie.
seemed to just have like minor lip service, but they didn't really
Exactly.
dig into it. I agree.
I would have liked that.
But again, that would mean that you have to actually dig into like Orm's hopes and desires other than the surface level. I don't want my big brother to take over.
Yep. So
which
it's
is like,
and this I think this is our main issue with this movie. Is just like it's all surface.
yeah,
That's it.
yeah.
That's what you're getting. So hopefully, Aquaman 2 recasts, gets Vinny Chase. Yeah, baby.
Ugh.
No.
Yeah. Let's rate this movie.
Let's rate this thing.
Yeah, you go first.
6.5.
Yeah, I mean, actually talking about it, maybe I just stay at 6. I had 6.5, but I think talking through it, I'm like, nah, it's just a 6.
Talking like at 6.5, that extra 0.5 is just recognizing. Yeah, the visuals were really, really well done.
The 6 is all I appreciate the effort put in the visuals because I guess my thing was like with Doctor Strange, I have the same amount of love for him as Aquaman going in, but at least coming out of Doctor Strange, like, wow, I like this world. I like that character. This did nothing to like make me like Aquaman more,
Right? Because like the thing,
or even Captain America, where I actively dislike
Yeah.
Captain America, and I come out of the first Captain America. Wait, do I like this guy a lot? Actually,
yeah. The thing I have for Doctor Strange is that like I like the whole, and this is the exact reason why, and essentially the origin story for Iron Man and Doctor Strange are the exact same. You have someone that's so confident, so arrogant, and everything like that gets knocked down and then rebuilt back up. I don't get the knockdown in the Aquaman here. Yeah. Same thing with Thor as well. I just don't get that, but I do get the arrogance with.
Well, that's because
Aquaman.
they would try to play this weird thing where he's already established and he's already done, arguably the biggest thing he's going to do, which is, I mean, Steppenwolf isn't interesting. But
Yeah, he's not.
I mean, obviously, I mean that's the problem with Justice League is that it should be this big deal that these characters come together, but really it was just like no, I happen to be around.
Yeah,
let's
that's
all
it. It's like let's put each other on speed dial and like and then get beers afterwards. It makes it seem like saving the world is like
nothing.
A beer league of hockey.
So like I mean, he already did the team up thing, and so to come back and then be like, well, this is how he was born, and this is who. And you're kind of like, yeah, I know, that's fine.
Cool. Whatever.
This didn't really like explain more or give any more depth.
I agree.
It's like,
I'm just like whatever.
Yeah,
this is a whatever moment.
So yeah, I think that
I did
was the
like
problem.
the whole aspect of like so like I like that whole like yeah, I haven't tried it. No, that's your mother's trident. And it's like, oh, when Mara in Justice League gave him the trident, it's not Mara's trident, it's his mother's. That's cool. And now you just build that a little bit more. Mm-hmm. But I mean, that was fun. But it's a 6.5.
Yeah, it's
not as great as everyone thinks it is.
No, what I will say is, if you were already predisposed to like Aquaman, you probably would like this.
Yes,
I just am not, and it didn't help me.
Yeah, but like the hordes of internet people that are saying like, oh, this is like such a great movie. Like when people are like Black Panther is overhyped and blah, it's not that great of a movie. I'm like, if you say that this is a great movie and you say that about, I'm like, this is the movie that is, to me, overhyped.
To be fair, though, I mean,
those
people are clearly looking. Yeah, I wasn't going to get into that, but yeah,
well,
yes,
I can because there's a lot of racially like they're angry about it for different reasons,
understand.
And they don't have that same.
But I was going to say, if you are just looking for a fun time, then maybe Aquaman is a better movie because I think Black Panther deals in a more pensive, and that's what I love about it. And that's, but like, in terms of comic book movie, I still obviously was tied for second, but it was still like, it wasn't like this fun comic book movie. It was this other thing that I appreciated more. And I think that if you're looking at Black Panther, either purposefully or not, just to be this comic book movie, then sure, maybe it's not for you.
Yeah,
but
because that's not what it tried to
do. Yeah, it's trying to do a little bit more. It's trying to advance this genre that everyone keeps saying is going to die. Yeah, but like, Aquaman is just fun. So if you were more like, just like things exploding and people fighting, then go for it. Yeah, like maybe this is the better movie for you.
Yeah. It's
because I don't know that there's anything that people will be like, no, like they really were saying something when this happened. It was like, no, everything is said through dialogue and there's no real exploration.
There's no just except for that bar scene that we analyzed.
I mean, but that wasn't a positive thing. That was just like a weird that's layover from other people, like from a time gone by where like that joke plays and then you're like, yeah,
it's subtle. It's dying era. Thank you so much for listening. It's been a fun year.
Yes.
2018.
We'll see you next year.
We've got more planned for you 2019. And of course, a couple of huge movies that we're going to do then. So whatever you're doing this holiday season, merry, happy.
Happy that. Yeah, just enjoy it. And enjoy the people around you that make you happy.
Yeah.
And please go to thatshelf.com and you can go to the podcast section where you'll see us. Other things, I've said them already. You know what they are, but learn for yourself. Go there. And then go to Apple Podcasts, rate and review us, which I heard they might be taking away, but they haven't yet. So please do it for us. And then listen on Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play, whatever you want, Radio Public. And please go to tdfeverything.com/spoiledrotten. We're also on Twitter at TDFSpoiled. We're on Facebook at TDF Everything. It's a great time to get in touch with us because there's some downtime and you can really binge these episodes.
Yeah, and you can really let us know what you think.
We'll have more time to respond.
We'll get back to you and be like, yeah, baby.
All right. Thank you very much for listening.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
This has been a TDF Everything production, brah.